Okay. I do believe the YouTube is streaming now. Oh. There we go. You sit and you listen to me talk, and then if you want to speak, you raise your hand. This is to keep people from screaming. Yes, I see Janek has raised his hand.
Yeah, I'm thinking based.
All right. Can someone tell me if the YouTube stream is running? It looks like it's running on my end. I do believe it is functioning, though. Yeah, I'm working on it. Keep. Okay, I think the YouTube stream is running. I'm going to pretend it is. Okay. That's fine. Alright. Okay. It's working. Audio. Okay, so you can hear me. The audio's good. You don't need me to turn the audio up any. Alright, I'll turn that off then. Ooh, look. It's the feedback form. Okay, so we had 23 responses from the feedback form. And even though there are some people who are saying that, you know, performance was less than it was in the previous season. Warning the stream, what now? Why is it screaming at me? Okay. This thing's being silly. Alright. So like I said, even though there were people telling us that the overall performance was lacking compared to the previous season, I'm seeing a lot of 4 and 5. Only 4 people said it was average. Yes, I agree. It was still fun. Overall length of the tournament, we came in very strong, over 80% saying it was just right. So I think it was pretty good. Only 3 people thought it was too long, and 1 person thought it was too short. Overall, sounds like we nailed it. We are coming in right around that 6-hour mark, which is about what I thought. Yeah, I think Combat 2's got that weird, you know, the curse of the name thing. I don't think we're ever going to get away from that. But we can try. Yes. Okay, bug reports. Bruhs, taking it over the fams. Alright, now we're going to move on to what everybody wants to talk about. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go through the stats for a section. I'm going to read the comments, and then I will allow someone to raise their hand if they would like to address the room. I'm only going to do the hand raising after I address a section. We're going to talk about that section only, and then once we're done, we move on to the next one. We can go back to general discussion at the end of the feedback form. Okay? So, TIO Industries. Now, there is some work to be desired here. It looks like we have some 2 weeks for the priests, the reavers. The Type 18s are coming in mixed bag. Some people are saying they're alright. Some people are saying they're too weak. Type 21, I mean, it's still got some people throwing it in the 2 week category, but the just rights were taking it. Type 24 appears to be coming in pretty strong. Some people think it's too strong, but overall it's coming in at just right. Um, all the rail guns, however, apparently are just hot ass. So I'm sure those are going to be on the table for some tuning. Uh, the Peacemakers also coming in the 2 week to I just don't know what the hell's going on category. Again, we're just going to have to look at what we're going to do with those. And then Tridents, apparently, even though they are literally a gigantic box that just will continuously feed torpedoes at you, they apparently just are a bit of the hot ass variety. So we can always look at cooking them a little bit longer. So, hello. That would probably be why people think that they are not very good. I'm not opposed to saying that we're going to look at making some adjustments. Fair point. All right, so let's look at the comments, and then I will take speakers from the floor. So, some people say they saw no one using them. I disagree. I remember seeing some of these weapons on the field. If I'm correct, they worked as attended. I do believe you meant intended. Need of a complete rebalance. Well, I don't know about a complete rebalance. They definitely need a little bit of love. There are some things that need to be tuned up. Patch note says Priest Spartans reverted to Season 3 values. Apparently, someone's ass says they were. I'm going to guess, again, this is the first test tournament. There's going to be a lot of things we're going to need to work on. So Reaver feels like a gun without a purpose. Now that it has slower projectiles than the Slinger, it seems to just be outshined in most categories. Not saying much about the type since they're going to get a rework anyway. Apparently they're getting a rework. Did we slow down the bullets in the Reaver? Maybe we did. I don't know. Priests are gimped. Types. The artillery. Ah, yes, you did. Okay. Well, maybe we could split the difference on that speed. Just a thought. So artillery, find across the board, increase both damage BP equal rates so we don't carry away with massive turrets. Yeah. Very funny. The rail guns and the trident just don't deal enough damage. Yeah, I was very surprised. These are 214-7, 214-7, 214 and 7. Everyone agrees on all three of the types of railguns, so they need some love. And I'm sure that we can talk about that here in a little bit in a second. Heavy repeater, half the grid and shield damage of a fucking Heimdall. Throws hands in disbelief. What the hell is a Fem for heavy repeater? I'm assuming you mean the priest? My brother in Christ understood the manager shot of this guy. Okay. That's funny. You made me laugh. I love it. Killer Beanie. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. It does 0.07 times AMS damage of the Heimdall. 6% AMS. I mean, again, I'm assuming they're talking about the priests on this one. So, yeah, we'll just have to. They're on the list. This weapon pack had the lowest pick rate. Unpopular within the community. Might be a good time to remove it to simplify the battlefield. No. As much as I love advocating for the wholesale deletion of weapons that aren't being used, this is the beginning of the season, and obviously, before we start throwing things in the skip wholesale, we want to make sure that we give everything its due cause, and we try to give it love. If giving it love multiple times still doesn't fix it, then we can start talking about throwing things in the skip. Okay? So, type already seemed fine. Being a tanky turret without being useless in the DPS department. Type rail still weak in damage. Tridents are far too weak damage-wise for how pitiable they are. Well, okay. Does anybody have anything they would like to address the crowd Raise your hands now. Who wants to talk about the TIO stuff? Go on. This is your time. Why would I need to take notes? Make me take notes. God damn it. Where's my notepad? Notepad. There. Spartan would like to speak.
Nate can give us a quick rundown on his dev server changes in a bit, if he wants.
Okay. I clicked the button. Spartan, I clicked the button. What happened?
My attention is a bit split at the moment.
Oh, you can only
class
text.
Scode at the same time.
That's fine.
Oh.
Spartan raised his hand to talk, and then Spartan's like, I'm not talking.
I have a speak on stage button that I just pressed.
You're a moderator. You're allowed to do that.
Hey.
Hello, Darth.
Yeah. I don't... You're more in tune with the Discord stuff, so I figured you'd be able to let people speak.
Yeah. No, I did. Spartan raised his hand, but Spartan apparently can't use the microphone. He wanted to get my attention that he is going to say something. Okay, well, we'll close that. The other thing is that no point in discussing this since Nate's reworking the whole pack, so unless we discuss those changes now, we should go on to the next. Okay. Nate, is there anything you want to peek out from behind the curtain, or are you just going to show us tomorrow? All right.
Yay!
Oh, maybe if he's on mobile, Spartan may have not gotten a pop-up. It gives you a pop-up when you send it over to me. Okay. That's how that works. Yeah, I'll be putting in a slightly different TIO pack. It is been on the dev server for a bit, and thanks to the wonderful people in this community that have been testing it, bringing things that I've missed to my attention and pushing out patches. Things are going actually quite well, and it's been a lot of fun actually. And this will probably be pushed by probably to the live, I think the mail said tomorrow, so I'm gonna be doing just a whole lot of paperwork today and tomorrow to get a whole list of changes, and then yeah, I think for future we can discuss about the future stuff. Obviously my DMs are open, there's also the mod mod dev 2024. I think everybody has ability to see that, and you can just discuss it in there as well, Spartan.
Yeah, I do believe I made sure the settings were fixed so anybody could comment in there. If it does not work, scream at me repeatedly, and I'll go fix it.
Oh yeah, Preston's able to comment in here.
Don't worry too hard about finalizing everything. I just want the blocks to be updated so blueprints can be updated, and I can update the NPC testing range and all that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just send me some blueprints and I can update those.
Oh, Chet went to go get food.
Yeah, he'll be back.
I'm sure once Chet gets back from getting his food, he'll realize where we went. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. See, putting this in full screen mode means my frickin' thing keeps disappearing. There we go. Vanilla weapons. There's only 2 vanilla weapons. The railgun and the custom turret controller. They both appear to be doing just fine. Obviously, there are comments. So, CTCs can cause rounds to become invisible, which is frustrating, and I agree. That's kind of dumb, but welcome to Keen. CTC, could you use more? 200 points for the CTC is too much. I don't think so. Vanilla Rails, having longer range than Artemis and Hydra is beyond me. Why? This sucks. It also pens too much armor. If you have 8 layers of armor, put light armor around the reactors, true for many guns. Nobody took CTC's bullshit. I saw CTC's. What do you think Dark thinks he's gonna get the damn thing?
Yeah,
You all saw Dark's ship, man. That's got CTC's. Okay? Yes. I agree, Spartan. I loved Dark's ship. It was very cool. It was, when it was working, a very good use of a CTC system. Congrats, perfect score. Thank you. Make the CTC cheaper. No. To encourage people who are willing to fight jank to try it. If we see too many area sniper turret means then butt back up with a customer turret takes CTC in your rotors before considering it. You're not going to convince me to make them cheaper. One,
You're not going to convince me as someone who uses them to do so either. Making what I did easier in any way cheapens the idea between aiming your fixed weapons and that requiring skill and just tossing a CTC on. I mean, the fragility of the rotors is in part what keeps them in check, but outside of that, the cost of the CTC stops it from being like, yeah, negating the point of fixed weapons requiring skill to aim, therefore being generally a little better than turreted weapons that aim for you.
you just end up with what Tycel did in GT2 if you make them cheaper. I agree. I remember Tycel's ship. It was a beautiful monstrosity. Pure glory.
We tried so hard to kill it. Anyways, moving on.
I know. Now, I do agree that using CTCs, making rounds invisible sometimes, sucks. However, really, it's kind of a hard thing to fix.
Pretty on the verge of just restricting the CTC until it gets fixed, to be quite honest. That is really annoying and, like, unplayable tier.
Yeah, seeing Darth get vaporized from an invisible airy shot of Preston was truly glory.
Did this happen with script rotor turrets? Does anyone remember those? This was before the CTC was even a thing.
My God, that's so long ago. You know what? I don't remember.
Well, bugs can actually be fixed in WeaponCore now, so if I can get a test world up that reproduces it every time, probably would be in the server, because it's like, anyway, I can get the technical stuff later. Go on.
Okay. Now, are the vanilla do the vanilla railguns have a longer range than like the Artemis and stuff? What's the range on the railgun right now? Is it like 7? Artemis 7, Hydra 7, vanilla rail is kilometers. I think they're like 12. 12.5. I don't know. Is that too long? They need 2 seconds travel. And don't they also have a wind-up? I mean, it's not like you're insta-clipping. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll put a pin in that. We'll see how it is next time around. If it's still a problem, then we can look at making it a little bit less. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to say about vanilla? God damn it. Yeah, okay. Not seeing any takers. All right, we will move on. Norse Heavy Industries. Okay, so let's see what we got. Hello. Only the Tummel, Ares, and Forager have longer range. I mean, those are bigger rail guns, so I mean, it kind of makes sense. The one that don't make sense is the Hydra, but that's also, you know, penetrating shotgun things. Uh, 8 is typing. I don't know. We'll make everything 1 kilometer. There. Get up close and personal. I don't know. Okay, so 12. What do you... Wait, you want like 10? 8? 2? 6? No. Ooh. We'll go 9. Split the difference. There you go. 9 kilometers. Sold. Alright. NHI. Yeah, I agree. Alright, so battleship cannons. Mark 1 still coming in. Mostly just right. Some people think they're a little lacking, but overall they're still just right. The Mark 2s and the Mark 3s definitely coming in way better in the just right categories. A couple people thinking they're starting to get a little strong, but I really like this really high just right number. I think they're doing okay. Vanier, I mean, for the people that apparently looked at it, they said it was just right. We don't know what's going on with it, but that's just a preference thing. Scotties, a little bit on the weak sauce. Acers, really close. Not sure if they're weak, not sure if they're just right. They're right.
Chet here yet?
Apparently, Mr. Chet is probably still getting dinner.
Got it.
Yeah. Hurricane. Not sure what's going on. Some people are not sure. You know, it's just right, too weak. It's kind of a mixed bag on that one. Surters are coming out just right, but there are some people that just don't know what's going on. Gugnir, I think it's suffering from being the big Gugnir heavy turret. Just a bit slow. Coil cannon, the turret that I love so much, and yet it's just straight up in a mixed bag of not having a great time.
It sounds so good, but I don't think it's actually been changed, but it has become outperformed by some of the other weapons, like the Mark IIIs.
Yeah. I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers when the coil cannon was one of our anchor weapons that we balanced other things around. So, we got the Fenrir and the Jotun. Both of them are apparently severely lacking because we don't know what's going on with them, or they're just too weak. Who knows? I mean, maybe there's just not a lot of a demand for those smaller, high rate of fire fixed weapons. Oh, hush, demon. Heimdall. Even though there's a lot of people that apparently have their issues with the Heimdall, it still came out just right ahead of the 2 week or don't know what's going on. And I love the Radome still getting the 2 strongs. Come on, people. This should be the only bar on the radar is 2 strong. Anyway. Alright, so let's look at the comments. Battleships suck after new BP, but I'd say Mark II is okay where it's at in terms of battle points. Surtur sucked in terms of damage. Heimdall needs better rotate so they can target fighters. Mark III wildly OP. PD weak. I'm assuming you're talking about the Heimdall. Certus could use some nerfs for Vertib. Despite popular opinion, Mark IIIs are not broken and saw substantially less use this time around. Knocked their points down to 550 and they'll be fine. Well, I don't know about that. I could have swore I saw a fair bit of battleship cannons going on there. Let's see. Gugnir has the same kind of effect as the Erebos in painter mode. If you use the canister shot, it doesn't explode, and instead you get a sometimes invisible to the person getting hit high damage slug that also bonks. It's pretty base because the turret can't turn for shit. It lowers its effectiveness considerably. So, the canister shell doesn't explode in painter mode.
That is the same issue as what was making the Erebos broken in last tournament. Allegedly invalid. You can speak to this. If BD Krillo said he's looking at that in Weapon Core to fix Painter being able to ignore proximity detonations like those.
That has actually been fixed,
Sweet.
according to a pull request.
We'll have to actually do some testing to make sure it is, but if that's the case, then that's a non-issue.
Ta-da! Cool. So, 12 fragments that deal about 1 heavy armor block damage per bullet fired in a salvo of 3 bullets from 7 kilometers away is why the Mark III will never be underpowered.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
have recently looked at the Mark III ammo for comparison to how I wanted to balance some of the Necron weapons I was building, and yeah, the 12 fragment AoE explosions it's supposed to be doing is part of why it's never going to be very bad at almost any points.
Fair.
Because its shield damage is also decent enough.
I mean, it's a big-ass fucking turret with 3 barrels on it. You get what you paid for. So, apparently, Vanniers have 180 DPS per point with 17.3 heavy armor blocks per minute. I'm assuming somebody's been getting sweaty with the data from the DACA dossier. Which means apparently that is too powerful for a turret at 100 BP. Suggest a 40 to 50 point price hike, so it's still more powerful than the Acer, but weaker than other turrets in a pack like the Hurricane. Don't change its damage, it's fine, just a little too cheap for what it can do. So he's talking about the Vanniers.
Yeah, the 100 point 1x1 gun that
Little tiny midget gun.
its DPS per point is relatively high.
But
If we wanted, because I'm here on the Balance Council and I'm a fan of incremental changes, we could give it another 20 points just to curb the enthusiasm.
I mean, it's not like I saw somebody with like 50 of the damn things on their ship.
I don't know how many banners we even actually saw at all in the last tourney, but it's on people's radar as the next hotness to try to exploit. But it's something to keep an eye on if we don't change it now. Certainly.
Okay. 120 points it is. Sold. To the next one. So, Scotty could really use anti-fast gun if it was just a bit more damaging cheaper. It's just too weak to do anything. Certus do not feel effective despite the stats imply. They could not tell you why. They just don't feel as good. If their damage is too lackluster, perhaps the reload between bursts is too long. Fenrir and Jotun do not offer as much DPS per point, considering you need to sit on someone's face and point them at them the entire time at relatively close range. Perhaps a price drop or a damage buff. Also, the healing function is a bit of a meme right now. Could experiment with like doubling it or something to make this the StarCore where healing is a possible factor. And then Mark III feels good to use. Thank you. Okay. Darth, any feelings on the Fenrirs or the Jotuns?
I haven't used them very much. I haven't seen them in use very much. And that might be because people consider them weak.
Fair.
Uh,
Okay. Well, I've gotten through the comments. Does anybody in the crowd want to, come up on stage and say anything? Open the floor, press the button. Now's the time. Y'all are typing like way too fast. I'm not reading all the chat. Yes, I know, chat. We need to wait for chat. Let's all ping chat.
this is his stuff.
I feel like the comment shared everything. Yeah, hey. Like I said, I'm being fair. Everybody gets their chance to say something.
Yeah, I'll say we don't write anything down for the Fenrir's and Jotuns yet. We talked to Chet and see if they could use another one of those incremental changes toward being slightly stronger.
Fair. But Chet's gonna look and he's gonna see like 50 pings from in here. Okay, so when Chet comes in, we will circle back to Norse Heavy Industries so we can get his input. So until then, we will go ahead and move on down to everybody's favorite, the MA weapons from our good buddy Otto. All right. So, MA weapons. Slinger. Coming in strong. Everybody's loving the Slinger right now, mostly. Either that or they don't know what to do with it. The Tigers, I mean, they came in just right, but there's still a bit of a mixed bag going on with them. I think it's just some people trying to figure out, do I want to put the points into the Tiger? I don't know. Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on what they were doing. I didn't see a lot of in-your-face interface action this time around using a Tiger. It was more chasms. Gladius, it's got good just right numbers. There are some people that are not sure what's going on with it. The T2 gimbals and the T2 PDX.
We should wait for the comments pretty much for the MA lasers.
I'm sure. Yeah, so I'm just gonna read through. I'm gonna go through this, and then we'll do. Oh boy. Yeah, the comments. So we got T2 gimbal, T2 PDX, mixed bag, T3. I bet it needs love. T4, mixed bag, derechos, mixed bag. So we're a lot of mixed bags here. Okay. Comments. Only good at being a meat shield. I mean, maybe. I think the slingers are doing okay. MA lasers still do farts worth of shield damage, but insane comp and armor damage. What happened? You know what I think happened? I think a wrench got turned, and then a wrench didn't get unturned. So PDX used to be good. Bring that back. I like T3 fixed laser, but it does seem too weak in terms of damage, and I don't think that they do any good shield damage either. PD weak. T2's feeling kind of meh. PDT supposed to be the T1 PDX here. Yeah, I no one bothered to remind me, hey Tibbs, you were supposed to change the PDT for the T1 PDX. You didn't do that. Thank you. Yeah, I know.
It's fixed now.
It's fixed now.
Spreading the thing on the dock.
I love how you guys are trying, but only one of you has actually pinged me. Okay. Gulag to Siberia immediately. You killed Otto's guns. No, we did not kill Otto's guns. We just need to, turn some wrenches back the other direction. Can't find the PDT. Yes, I know. Derecho does less shield DPS than a freaking Heimdall. Again, we'll turn some wrenches on that. Less than the ship priest, if the same get it when they span, they might do good damage, or at least a middle ground. Gladius 1 kilometer fall off meme that deals no damage to shields, like someone forgot to reverse this weapon after the shields came back. T3 4, same issue. I see those side eyes. I know what you're getting at. I don't know what you're talking
I
about,
think
though.
Nate has a PR to fix that.
Yeah, probably. I hope so. Nate, take a note. We need a PR to fix that. Derecho exists only as a PD suppression tool at the moment. I've seen peeps claim it's as a comp sniper or to painter a target, but really when flying it just seems to be anything but useful outside of pairing it with limited fire missiles. Okay, so let me get my handy dandy notepad here. Alright. Anybody want to say anything to the crowd? Don't be shy.
I'll say that I think that the Derechos could use just more shield damage, and that's it.
Heimdalls are in MA, right? No, they're not. Heimdalls are in Norse Heavy Industries, my friend. They're right here. They were made by Chet and Odin. Sheet. Yes, sheet indeed. You think the PDX2 could come... Well, I think the PDX2 needs to start turning a little better first. Check. PDX-T2 turn speed. Yeah, that too. Alright, what else do we need to look at here? Yeah. Oh, happy you have a comma for that. Heimdalls, when tested in scrim, they never hit fighters. Do Heimdalls just straight up not hit fighters? Well, we're gonna be adjusting all the lasers. That much I know. There. Okay. So we're gonna fix the lasers. We're gonna check the turning speed on that. Anything else? Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Y'all got nothing? Okay. There. Make a note. Give the Doritos the love tap. Ah, here we go. Since we are now going to move on to the Onyx Weapon Industries, legally distinct from whatever the hell we called it before. Now, before I get into reading the numbers, I would like to make a general statement. Invalid, or a question, technically. Invalid.
Yep. Yes.
Can we pretty please make some of these names slightly like they used to be, but still legally distinct, so that way I'm not confused?
Yeah, that was half, like, me just throwing stuff out there. I could probably just put them back.
The Helios is now the Heliod.
Something like that. That would be fine. Because I'm like
Keep
trying to read these and I don't understand.
give me names
Well,
that I can use.
okay. Well,
Just DM them to me or something, or ideas channel. I kind of like the idea of like the weapons being slightly different from the originals.
yeah.
I am also a fan of them not having the same names as what they originally were.
Yeah, no,
but I know
don't.
a lot of people
Uh,
feel it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm not saying to make them the exact same name so that way we get in another argument with somebody, but just making them slightly different so that way I still know what it was supposed to be. Because what the heck is a Reshep railgun? Unless I look at it, I'm not going to remember
It's
that.
like the Egyptian equivalent of Apollo or something.
Exactly. Why can't we just call it like something close to Apollo? Apollyon. There you go. A cataclysmic variable cannon. What? I don't even remember what that is. Is that the
It's the magnetar.
magnetar?
Because magnetar is like star related, and cataclysmic variable is some stellar phenomena thing.
Magneton. There you go.
Sure.
Magneton turrets. I just think that these names are a little strange, and I think people would appreciate if we had names that were a little closer to what they used to be, so that way we can reference it properly in our heads. Just
Yeah, I probably should change the subtypes too, which should be a bit annoying, but
yeah.
that's exactly what it is, Demon Fox.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into reading the numbers. Afflictor burst cannon. Whatever. Just right. Still coming in just right. We got some people who don't know what's going on with it. Reshep. It's still just right. Coming out ahead of the don't know what's going on, but a little bit of mixed bag going on. The cataclysmic variable cannon is just a whole bag of mixed bag. Phaetheon plasma pulsar. Is that the Helios?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. For the ones that use it, they were saying it was just right. There are some people that are not sure about it, but I remember seeing that in action, and I thought, you know what? It was working for me. Whatever. Tumult heavy cannon.
I like Tumult as a name.
Yeah. Once I put 600 behind it, then I remember what it is, which is the big ass gun. People not sure what's going on with it. Nimrod railgun. Some people not sure, but the ones that are thinking it's just right. The focused gleam. See, that's an appropriate variation. Focused gleam. For the ones that know,
I thought
they're
that was the
thinking.
most egregious, actually.
I thought it was fine, because I know it's the focus beam. How dare? What? Anyway, focused gleam. For the ones that know, they're thinking it's just right. Forager coil gun. Ah, the hunter. Some people obviously got smacked a little bit too hard with it, and they're thinking that that was a bit bullshit. And then the Ares. My God, who could have seen that coming? Really? Why am I surprised? Because I'm not. Yeah, I have that face too. Okay. Ares is classic. Ares can be buried behind a skyscraper of heavy armor and still do 10 trillion damage. Well, funny. I know what you mean, though. Foragers and Ares will one tap a shield face in sufficient numbers or simply core out a ship. Yep. I have seen that directly. Unfortunately, one of the newer members of the community experienced something like this firsthand. It was most unfortunate. Ares is good where it is, maybe only a little BP increase. Well, I don't know about that. Ares is a bit too strong. That I can buy. Before you nerf the Ares, stop to consider what's going to happen. People will move to the next efficient thing, Foragers, and then when they get nerfed, they move to the next one. Nimrods, and then the Somnus, and then the Vanriel, and so on. It's a never-ending cycle. Keep it good, blah, blah, blah. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the cycle that will never end. It's called the Endless Waltz for a reason. It's impossible not to have that just bounce around. It'll keep playing whack-a-mole, messing with ice. I'm not saying we're going to start playing whack-a-mole.
There's a few ideas I'll have at the end of this.
Oh, yeah. Areas in large numbers, more than one, still feel insanely impressive with the shield sides, and the AoE just makes for an even harder to kick to the dick. Pick areas to get big numbers in the damage sheet. Seriously, I'm on a small nudge mostly. Alright, Ares. Your hit scan, sniper weapon has double DPS and mod pack. Yes. Artemis single shot. Why would I use this? Mark 3 is better in aims for me. Same range, longer of panning. The only thing it's going for is rapid fire, which is 5 kilometer, basically identical to single shot range. Both of you are required to be in range of the enemy turrets to use. Yes, well, that's the point of fighting. You need to be in range of the enemy to fight. May as well be fast and use the only ammo type on it worth using now. Perhaps if 15 kilometers is too long and 7 is way too short, could be 9 to 10 kilometer range. I'm not sure that having a 10 kilometer repeating Artemis shot would be a good idea. Responding to the whack-a-mole comment, what if, and you hear me out, we spend the effort to balance guns. Okay. Yes, we're going back and forth about balancing things. Furthermore, kill airboats, but the airboats are not in this pack. Don't you start with me. Afflictor needs to be dead-ass point blank to do Slinger's level of damage if you're going to route. May I be so brazen as just doubling its damage and giving a 1 kilometer fall off. Remind me, what's the Afflictor? I don't remember what it is. What was the Punishers? Thank you.
They used to be Punishers. They're a shotgun turret. They are a little weaker.
There. One love tap for the Afflictor. Airshot barrel guns used to be a glass cannon, reliably accurate, effective gun. Now it's a glass pistol that's still reliable in hitting, but not effective in the slightest bump. Its damage pass considering power draw. Tumult is a meme. I said we're giving it a love tap. Don't make that face at me. Tumult is a meme. It's a slow projectile that is hard to hit and does okay damage. Buff its damage and make the Desert Eagle of StarCore. Let's see what outside of meme builds. I remember what the Tumult's supposed to be, and I remember what happens when we put a whole bunch of those together and then just let them slowly go across the screen and when they connect. The Forge Your Ares combo. Yeah, no, it sucks ass to fight against shit that can do guaranteed damage through shields at 15 kilometer range. Man, you modulate Askerio, huh, feeling you? Exclusion zone for Ares and Hunter while turning back forward. Your shield damage release, making the shell speeds different. We'll address that in a little bit. We knew the Ares was going to do more than it should for a while in scrims, but nothing was done. Look what happens when it's in an actual match. Yes. Every tournament, people complain about the Ares. Those people just want to press W and fight within 3 kilometers.
And that's the last of the comments for the
Yes, that is the last of the comments. So before
the Ares and the Forager
okay.
section of tonight's discussion.
Yes. I'm sure there are people that want to say things. Invalid, did you have anything you wanted to share before I open the floor?
Yeah, so this pack dates back to 2021. In philosophy and probably some exact damage values on the areas aside from some fragment thing. It is the primary issue that... Hold on, Janet.
Okay.
The archetype of Libig sniper click hole through ship, just like my heckin' Expanse Arenas, doesn't work when you can't put a hole through the ship. Or pinpoint one.
Yeah.
The only thing that happens is well, like, there's 2 skills we can do. It could pierce armor, then just die on a component, so then you fill your grid with component armor to be immune.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can nuke every component in its path. And that's the only scales we have. And it gets worse when there's that AoE thing going on with the areas, which will be looked at in a bit, but the Ares, Forager, Artemis, or Nimrod, Apollo, Somnus, those weapons need to be rethought in how they do penetration, which is my big think for let me find the image, hold on. I've said it a few times, but I don't think everyone here has seen it.
Yeah.
You're talking about the penetration changes for weapon core weapons being able to do fractions of its damage to block and continue through it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the Ares, instead of putting a hole into leaving every block it hits, might delete some heavy armor blocks and then start damaging some of them and components in a row, but not killing them all.
Yes. Yeah. So it's
That's from Nebulously Command.
yes.
I can do this, I think, in the weapon core damage handler I've been talking about with BD. It's only just a brainstorming thing right now. Probably will be in for 4.2.
Yep.
I think for right
maybe it'll
now,
be. We have like a few weeks.
I think for right now, from my point of view, the Forager needs to be restored to where it was before, which is to say, have its shield damage dumpstered. Not dumpstered to complete uselessness, but the reason why it was never decent per point against shields is because the Ares existed, and if you combine them, that'll completely make shields irrelevant at the insane ranges those weapons provide. The Ares being anti-shield, but you can see it coming, you can modulate and shunt against it and be aware and completely shut it down like that. Doesn't work when the Forager, when there exists these incredibly high range energy weapons to pair with it that do good shield damage. The Ares doing big dick damage when it hits your grid. I think if we can change the damage on the plus AoE that follows the projectile to killing only light armor values instead of punching that plus sign through any ship it hits, could be a good way to rein in its grid damage without neutering it.
Yeah, so if you're taking notes, Tibbs, it's bugged AoE. The Ares is bugged AoE damage will be looked at. Well, I really wanted to get the system in, but other crashes and stuff popped up right when I was looking at the weapon core damage handler.
Okay.
So maybe 4.3 or 4.4, or never. But I'm gonna fix the consistencies with it, I think, because the actual fix for this lol pen, as Lethal Dose experienced, is the map and giving it actual cover or structures instead of that. That ring was pretty cool, but it was really more of a spectacle thing. I now have the tools for interesting cover and structures. And if that doesn't work out, I could do something like reduce its projectile velocity and then give it a pattern that's a hit scan. So like pings your grid and warns you, oh god, there's an Ares incoming, run. Like Darth was doing with the Nova Cannon. Just spitballing, but there's a lot of things we can do to reduce how unfun it is to be shot at by it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely think have the formula for here's a big AoE pie plate, get out of it. No. With the Nova Cannon, and we can put that template on another gun. It might be fun to experiment with. I want to talk to you, Invalid, about getting Nova Cannon on the dev server, so we can experiment with that on there. We can do that later.
Okay. Anything else for Onyx? Okay, I know we've done a fair bit of talking. I will now give the offer to the floor. Anyone in the crowd want to say something? Raise your hand. Okay. Alright, I'm not seeing any takers, so we'll go ahead and move on. Serpent Arms. Ooh, yeah.
Are you sure nobody just wanted to raise their hand to talk about the Ares or foragers?
Oh, there we go. That's what I
I was going to say, I think a couple people might
Alright, press the button.
have things to say.
Okay, what happens is I press the button when you raise your hand, and then you have to accept the button press to get up here. So, okay, click. There we
Can you
go.
guys
Hey,
can
Welcome.
you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Vicious Vader, welcome to the stage.
Alright. Well, first on the record I just want to say I like boats. Now onto mergers. Darth, I heard you say that you wanted the Ares to be to do shield damage,
always
and
has
that's why
been.
that's why you want to reduce foragers.
To where they were before.
And what was the foragers before?
The foragers did half decent shield damage. You had to bring like 4 to 6 of them to equate to an Ares, and even then they fell short. Basically, if you saw foragers and Ares on the same ship, like we brought to Grand Tournament 2 on my team, you could still modulate kinetic, keep your shields up if they were full shunted, and not lose them in a single volley. Unlike now, with the foragers having buffed shield damage, makes them nearly equivalent, and in some cases, because of the point and energy costs, better against shields than the Ares, which is fucking wild.
Yeah, there's no modulating against Ares and foragers. I completely agree. That's why I use the combo. What if you just had Ares have reduced shield damage, so foragers could still be an energy weapon? That because when I view energy weapons, I view them as being the shield busters. So you still have the shield buster from foragers, and then the Ares doesn't do as much shield damage, so you can still modulate the energy and be fine and not be punished for not being modulated to kinetic for the Ares, and the Ares still does the damage for when the shields are finally down.
Sure. I mean, the assumption of one of them doing less shield damage than the other is born from the fact that you wouldn't be able to take both, and it originated from the Ares and Hunter combos. With the Gladius as the primary weapon a lot of people were taking for energy damage, it made a fun and interactive gameplay experience of, at long range, you can typically modulate kinetic, because Ares are out there, because the Artemis were out there, and in close range, often you had to switch to energy because of the high shield damage energy weapons that existed. If we go back to that by fixing the MA lasers, especially with the battleship cannons being popular as they are right now with decent shield damages as well, I feel like if we make the foragers the shield damage of the pair of long-range guns, the meta will simply be modulate energy.
Yeah, so
unless you see an outlier. So.
No, I don't. So you want there to be still like a kinetic damage version for shields and then an energy damage version for shields for a long range sniper gun, right?
Yeah, the reason why I would still want to make it the Ares is if the MA lasers are getting fixed, and because of the battleship cannons being decent shield damage, to keep that long range, kinetic, short range energy dynamic. At the very least, one of them needs to go down in shield damage. And I also get what you mean by, like, in your head, energy damage means better against shields, but both of them shred hull right now. The Ares more than it used to, because it used to just be a 1x1 hole punch that sometimes got stopped by enough heavy armor or a large gyro.
Yeah, foragers do big dick hull damage as well. So
And the idea
I mean, I'm
behind
just
it was a counterpart to the Ares, or way back when the Mac. You could take one, pop shields with the big sniping Ares, do good damage to hull with a bunch of foragers.
so if you were to reduce the shield damage with the foragers, then it would lead to just actually kinetic essentially. So you can just avoid
At long range,
it.
at long ranges, if you saw the snipers, yes, it would. Yep.
So what would you do as a sniper to compensate for the lack of energy shield damage? What would be the solution?
Rely on teammates for other energy damage, or bring a more balanced loadout that wasn't purely a sniper that couldn't be countered by the only active defense measure we have being shields or flares for missiles. But the idea would be to not make it this foo strategy of take foragers and Ares, their shields can't stop you.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. Thank you for coming up, Vicious, but I do want to get Nate on the stage so that way he can take his comments before we move on to the next one. So, thank you. Okay. Go ahead and move you to audience.
Yeah, he's gonna
There we go.
say the main point.
Okay.
Darth made a pretty good point. I was just going to say if you wanted to change it to energy long range shield damage, you see a lot of long range turrets and long range fixed guns like Artemis and Hunter were all kinetic damage without a whole lot of fall offs. They were doing good kinetic at long range. So you had all these list of guns that were kinetic long range. You had the Forager or Old Hunter, which did like million shield damage per shot and was all right. It was there for the hull damage, and then you had the focus beams, which were fall off, so they could reach out for the long range, but their main range was more closer. So you would rely on your teammates going forward with like short range energy builds, getting them to modulate energy, and then you would pop them, and it was kind of a fun dynamic. So if you were to flip that, you would need to like change not only a bunch of other guns that are all long range kinetic, and also like Cerberus, Sylvius, like those long range Gauss turrets to like energy, or just it's a big mess to change it to a energy. It's like long range is kinetic, and then medium range is a mix up, and then short range is usually energy damage, like the best damage types.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that went well. Let's go ahead.
So one more last thing, sorry.
Okay.
From season 3 to season 4, the Ares, Ares and Hunter they were RX weapons, and that brings consequences of they had like 70 or 80 fragments on impact, which was surprisingly fine for a while, but I just didn't like it, so I reduced their counter fragments to like 5 and increased the damage by 5, but that completely changed the damage profile. So I'm going to revert that to their season 3 stats. because it's just inconsistent and bad. And that's pretty much it. That'll be one of the guaranteed changes to this pack. Other stuff is up in the air. We can continue.
Okay. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the other half of the very contentious weapons. Serpent arms, specifically Erebos, which apparently damn near everybody, 19 out of 23 responses, too strong. And I wonder why. Because some people figured out that they could use Painter and make it do some meme shit and didn't fucking share with the class until it was too late. Don't worry, we're going to do something about that. Well, we'll look at everything.
With the proximity change on the painter.
Mm-hmm.
The fix.
Yeah. Alright, well, we'll get through the rest of the Serpent Arm weapons, and then we'll read the comments and go from there. Asterius. Well, looks like a mixed bag across the field. Sylvius, about the same. Cerberus, some people not sure what's going on, but overall they're coming in just right. Sharon, just right for the most part. Some people think they're a little overcooked or undercooked. Hydra, looking pretty good. I did like seeing it put out the work. Hellfire Laser. A lot of people saying it's coming in weak sauce, and I think that's that fall off and how long it takes for it to reach out, and by the time it's actually at the end of where it can reach, oh damn, it ran out of power. And apparently the bounding box is annoying. And then we have the Somnus, which people thought were a bit overcooked.
I'm sorry.
I was happy to see that the Somnus were actually getting enough love that people were using them, and they realized, oh damn, this thing can actually poke holes in people. I thought it was nice watching your ship just poke holes into Spartan from, over there. Okay. Total Erebos death. Yes, yes. Hellfire needs a buff. Maybe. Sharon loses target way too easily. Maybe lower its burst size. I don't know. Waiter, more Erebos, please. Yeah, funny. Somnus do way too much damage for their fire rate. Sharon's had a weird behavior where they would ignore focus fire and lose track, and Erebos had a Lamau damage when paintered. Yeah. Goodest job. The only thing I'd say is lower painter damage, however, not by a lot. Increase flak as it's pretty weak. I'm assuming you're talking about the Erebos. Hellfire could have more damage or more health, but I don't know in terms of fighting against it. I just watched it. Sharon kept initiating shots on separate targets. What? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, Sharon kept initiating shots on separate target. Would be nice if it focused the same target from the start. Potentially a shorter burst life, bullets come out in a shorter time period. Something with the depression of the gun, small fraction maybe. Sharon is a little annoying with how strong it is, but it needs to be babied. It has ass range. Yes, kill Erebos, blah, blah, blah. Insert Erebos, copy pasta, whatever. Somnus are a bit overcooked. Asterius feel like a bit meh. Kill Erebos, yeah. We spend more time understanding weapons with proximity fuses before putting them into weapon packs. Read. I am not going to read the copy pasta for the stream. Y'all made it. Y'all know what it says. Bro, they can read. Hellfire bounding box is annoying. I believe in a universe where we give the Erebos more damage. That would be the day. Sharon doing over 1,100 blocks of heavy armor damage per minute is a little yikes. Yeah, well, that's if it can connect with the target and stay on the target. I'd buy it. Oh, give me a second. I'd like to see that number around more 6-700s. Grids take 4 Sharons. Yeah, again, if they can actually connect. Oh, Mr. Chet's here. Hello, Mr. Chet. 700 turret world, blah, 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 blah. There's too many words. Simply times 4 seconds. Yeah, again. It looks like it does a lot of numbers. And if it connects for the entire time it's firing, it will do a lot of numbers. But as previously mentioned, the Sharon needs a little bit of love and babying to actually hit the target. He's dance money. Monkey will dance in a minute. Let me finish reading. Mobility, small letter grids being a thing. You don't need to have all the gamer turrets. And da 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 da. Let tanks be tanks.
You missed NHI. We'll return to that for
Yeah.
you when we're done.
Yeah, Chet. Let me. We'll do Serpent Arms and then we'll go back up to NHI because we did want to talk.
Feel free to pop up here if you desire.
Yes. I think I don't remember if he has the power. You can request. Yeah. You have a button that says
join stage.
I don't know if he has join stage or just request to talk. Well, hit the request to talk button then.
If you got something to say. We're going through.
No.
The,
what do you mean no? There's a button on the bottom. It should say request to speak or something
Raise
like
your
that.
hand.
Raise your hand. I don't know. Yeah, that one. The one that looks like a hand. There. There you go.
That is not gold.
Whatever. Alright, let me finish reading this, then I'm going to go up and read the memes so everybody gets their YouTube clip, and then we'll be happy. Tanks be tanks, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to read all that. There's too many words. Exception, JNEX high-tech and unique 10-meter fast brawler. 10 million mass is what I'm assuming you meant there. Fast brawler, which performs better than it should thanks to Erebos. What? Behead Erebos. Round. Oh, God. It's the thing. I will read this for you once. Behead Erebos. Roundhouse kick an Erebos user into the concrete. Slam dunk an Erebos into the trash can. Crucify filthy Krieg models. Launch Erebos into the sun. Stir fry proximity ammo in a wok. Toss Erebos into active volcanoes. Urinate into the Erebos' offset barrel. Judo throw Erebos into the wood chipper. Twist Erebos off grids. Report the Erebos to Kish mod control teams. Karate chop Erebos in half. Crush Erebos in the trash compactor. Liquefy Erebos in a vat of acid. Eat Erebos ammo.config. Trap Erebos in voxels. Lobotomize Erebos with elite drills. Total Erebos death. There's your clip. Happy? See?
Excellent. Premium.
You're
That
welcome.
was incredible.
I hire you for voice acting.
Would you believe it that I used to be a radio operator? So,
100% believe that.
all right, let me finish these last couple comments. We'll talk about Erebos stuff, and then we can go back to NHI for chat. So, I don't need to add to the Erebos issue. You know it's broken. Thank you. Hellfires are comedically funny to watch try and reach things. Give those fuckers some better damage. You know, I have seen something with the Hellfires. I agree they need a little bit more love. Didn't use... Almost done.
Was the proximity fragment fix mentioned?
Yes. Invalid did mention that. I will put it on my notes. Didn't use Painter Erebos. Honestly, didn't even know what it did with Painter until after my match. I had 4 and so did Twisted, and I only run them for dual purpose nature. Tate. Yeah, nerf the Erebos. Too much funny. Thank you. Okay. So. Erebos. And going to fix...
It is worth
the...
reiterating at the moment that we have finished talking about Erebos, for anyone who we haven't noticed came in late, that allegedly there is a fix for paintering targets ignoring the proximity fuse, so they should have returned to non-funny values. This I think we should test further to make absolutely sure. But yeah, hypothetically, non-issue. Wasn't oversight, not intended damage.
Will be corrected.
What about the other things to actually talk about here, assuming that the Erebos are fixed?
Yep. So, Asterius, Silvius. Yeah, okay, so Asterius, some people thinking it's a bit of a mixed bag. It needs a little bit of love. I don't know. Last thing I remember about Asterius was it looks like a turbo laser. It shoots. It
Is it
does.
still doing 1 heavy armor block per shot?
Somebody had a thing in here about it. I'm trying to find it. Asterius is good. But like,
Maybe other weapons in the same niche need to be looked at instead, rather than.
yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And
like
Silvius,
Nate
I mean,
says,
yeah, like
Some
Nate was
some of
saying.
the weapons that feel weak at the moment are only weak compared to other things that have yet to be balanced down to reasonable levels.
Right, when I look at Asterius.
Some of them are weak and need some love, but
Yeah. When you look at the Asterius, what are you going to compare it to? The Silvius and the Cerberus? Well, obviously.
or rather, I would compare the Asterius to the Slinger, filling the same role as short-range kinetic damage.
Yeah, that too. I think they're probably doing okay. Now, the other one that I definitely did want to talk about, I don't believe that the Somnus are over. I think they're fine.
I think that they could use like a 5-10% damage decrease. I think an incremental change, bringing them a little lower, being that they pierce through so much, is worth it.
Yes, but this right here. Hellfire weak sauce. Why is the Hellfire the way it is? I think the Hellfire definitely could use a little bit more love.
maybe the older nerfs related to range and time to reach max range might need some looking at and undoing.
I think one of the things that people were noticing was because of how it travels, by the time it reaches out to the end of its range, it's run out of
has, like, no
power.
life left.
It has no
Yeah.
life left, and it just fucking dies, which means it's not going to do you a lot of good.
Right.
Okay, and then for the Somnus,
I think the concern there is shield damage.
light
I
tap
don't
of the
think
nuts.
anyone needs a reminder on having your shields clicked off by the funny beam laser
Yeah.
from 7 kilometers.
Yep.
So it can be the funny beam laser, but it would take time to reach its back trajectory. Also, I think it looks cool. It could take less time, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the Hellfire, I just think it would be good if it could reach its maximum life and then not, like, last maybe a few seconds. You know, give it like 10 seconds, 15 seconds maybe at maximum range and then die. Oh, yeah, Somnus, give it a tap in the nuts. Light tap in the nuts. A little bit of damage off.
Just a little off the top.
Just a little off the top. Other than that, I think we're okay for Serpent Arms, unless anybody... I will open it up to the floor. Does anyone in the crowd want to provide comments on anything other than the Erebos? Because we've already addressed the Erebos. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. All right, we're going to go back up to NHI so we can talk with Chet. Mr. Chet.
Did you skip it entirely, or did you still go over it?
Yeah, we
We
went
went over
over
it.
it, but we had some stuff that we wanted to talk about, which we needed you to be here for because we were aware that
Right.
there's already things in the works.
What exactly was talked about? Martin has something to say regarding serpent arms?
Yeah, I think so. But you don't have your microphone, do you? So He's gonna have to type that up really quick. Tapey. Cerberus and Sylvius are still grossly overcosted.
I would generally agree with that.
Same
My
here.
my thought on that is honestly to remove them both from the game, but that's because Nate's TIO type railguns damage is going to be roughly based on them, filling the same role except not having the weird multi-turret jank that the Cerberus does, so it might actually hit and aim more consistently.
I still like I still like the Sylvius. I mean, I like the Sylvius and the Cerberus, but I mean, if you have a non-weird multi-turret option for the Cerberus, then sure, yes, multi-turret ADHD.
It shouldn't make it ignore focus fire, unless there's a setting.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes.
Interesting. The primary
Multi-turret
weapon should
shenanigans
be-
are
You only have focus
Primary
fire
turret.
for one of the sub-turrets. Yes, that sounds like...
That's a toggle. There's a toggle there that needs to be flipped for that to work properly.
hypothetically we could fix them, and I'll tell you from my perspective by them that the shots that did slip through shunts scared the death out of me in my lighter grid and set some things on fire. So like they do okay damage, maybe just not enough against shields, but their range is absurd, their accuracy is good, unless it's the Cerberus sometimes because of multi-turret shenanigans.
Will require some observation.
Okay, well, I'll put some notes on it. Alright. Okay, so, Norse Heavy Industries.
So what was discussed? What was said? Were there any conclusions drawn?
Conclusions. People still like the battleship cannons.
Okay.
People wanted the Vanneries to cost slightly more because math says that they are too, sexy for 100 battle points, so fine, we'll bump them to 120.
What are they currently? They're currently 100, right?
Yeah, they're 100.
Just do 125. Don't do 120.
Fine.
Keep it in
Sold.
a somewhat sane increment.
Sold 125. All right. So we got some
Scotty.
people saying Scotty's weak sauce. They're not sure what's up with the Acer. The Hurricane, I guess, is doing okay. The Surters doing okay. Gugners, I think people just don't like it because it's slow. Coil Cannon, unfortunate victim. But I think the other big thing to ask about was what the hell?
The coil cannon, when you compare it to the Mark III, is a little sad, and I think that in part has to do with the battleship cannons still being potentially a little overcooked, maybe needing like 25, 50 points for the 2 and the 3, but
How overcooked is overcooked?
like not
I'm-
not an obvious issue and potentially subjective overcooked is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I am seeing some wild schizophrenia in the comments here.
Oh, yes. I 100%
Mhm.
agree on that.
Wildly OP, feels good to use. Battleships suck after the new BP.
I know.
So
That's
on
why,
and so forth.
looking at it,
The
on one hand, we could say the battleship cannons are fine and they're a good benchmark. On the other hand, we could say, do we want to try to benchmark off of something that we used to, the coil cannon?
Right.
Exactly. There are different schools of thought on this. I on one hand, have love and appreciation for the magnetic coil cannon. I love it, even the new version, because it's still the coil cannon. But do we really need to use it as the baseline? Or do we need to put the baseline with, like, the battleship cannons where they are? Are they really good? Are they not good? And people just like them because they were doing the better numbers than everything else.
So the consensus for the battleship cannons is that from before is that they were mostly fine, but might be overcooked in one or two ways.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So,
And
sorry,
the other thing to actually talk about was the fixed guns.
Yeah, these
People
two.
think
Fenrir
are a little.
and the Jotun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What in particular? So I have heard. So I heard earlier, Vicious Vader, I believe it was testing them, and came up with data saying they were absolutely garbage. But I believe he was testing their heavy armor damage with the not heavy armor killing ammo, which I do know that having multiple ammunition types on a single weapon is sometimes too much for the general population to handle. But
Yeah. So I have on
I don't believe they're underperforming. But
Yeah.
Okay. It's
the
something that I think we said we'll keep an eye on and have you take further looks at them, and we can decide on a course of action over the coming week and see if we want to buff them.
the only comment on the form that I actually give any serious consideration to for Fenrir and Jotun is the one from Demon Fox, which I have highlighted on my stream.
also read that and somewhat agreed to it. Agreed with it, rather, not to it. It's not a contract.
Yeah, nope. No contracts here.
I am leaning towards price drop for both. However, the Jotun's damage could perhaps be looked at. I don't think it's doing as much as it could be for what it is. Yeah,
There.
you're right, Nate. I could maybe explain it better in the descriptions, but still.
I also like the idea of maybe not doubling, but turning up the healing little by little and seeing where it reaches a good level. I like the idea of the healing being potentially
More,
relevant.
yeah. At the moment, it's outclassed by anything else similar, such as, well, one, it
Being
has a shorter range, and then we have the Gonacol, so
or being clicked on by the Ares,
that too.
making it a
No
non-issue.
point in healing your shields when your shields are simply gone.
Sorry, Ares plus Forager is the problem. Yeah, but yes,
Maybe a range extension plus a point drop would maybe make them a bit more viable.
Mhm.
What
some
is
things
that
to consider. I don't think we need to commit to
Well,
anything on
Yeah.
these
we'll
guns
spitball
yet.
some ideas later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll mark that down as
looking
two
at.
ideas we'll look at later. Was there anything else that needed to be considered?
People didn't
I
like
did
the Heimdalls.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They don't turn fast enough
Um,
to shoot fighters, is what people
Don't
are saying.
turn fast enough. Here's an idea. What if we increased fighter orbit range? Because they orbit a little close and under most of the minimum range of the PP. That could
Yeah,
maybe
right.
be a thing. But I also can look into buffing the Heimdall's turn radius. As far as everything else, I saw some comments that the Surtur was underpowered, but that hasn't been touched whatsoever for like 6-8 months.
Surtur seems okay, but it is
not
just
sure.
such a power-hungry beast that
Yeah, maybe
it
a
can be
power.
difficult to run.
What do you mean, what, Nate? What did I say? They orbit at one. Yeah, I mean, kind of, but they also get pretty close, like
Let's wait
within
till
500 meters. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Gugnir, I'll look at, and then the magnetic coil cannon. I think the peers to that probably should be looked at. I might look into reducing maybe some of the Mark III damage or thing like that. And I'll look at reducing the power cost in the server. I think that addresses everything.
Sure. Sounds like a plan. So, forgot how to spell that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Alright, so let's move on down. We're past Serpent Arms, and that puts us into Recore. Oh, this is going to be good. Alright. So, looking at the Recore SRMs, you either don't know or they're okay. MRMs, they're kind of messed up. I think they're still messed up, aren't they? LRMs, very painful. Much ow. Arrows, they're either doing just right or you just don't know. Pretty much the same.
Has anyone brought arrows
I don't know.
at all?
I think I saw one person using arrows.
Hmm.
Well, they're not on the funny Slam Pluto majiggy anymore, so it's just no fun. Yes, LRM goes burr. UNNs and MCRNs, you know, they're either okay or you don't know. The MCRNs might be a little on the weak side. I tend to agree. That's just my personal opinion. Painless, it's doing all right. Baneless, apparently it just needs a little bit of love. Medium lasers and large lasers, we just don't know, but they might be a little bit too weak.
They're all right.
I just think we don't know. The monopole.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 11 people say it's just right. There's only 4 people thought it was too strong or too weak, or they just don't know. So overall, the monopole is doing just right, and it's definitely not giving you the middle finger either. PPC, ERPPC. For the people that knew, why is it fucking doing that? So the PPCs, most people don't know, but for the ones that did know, it was doing all right. And then our lovely RWR. A little bit of a, you know, it's doing okay if you know what it does.
Beep.
It does beat people. I want more too strongs. Where's my Doppler meme where it was just too strong? Come on. Give me the meme. Alright. To the combo. Comments. Monopole bros in shambles. Yeah, people do not like the fact that we made them, you know, slightly less accurate. Unfortunate. It happens. LRMs do a lot of damage, and their reloads can out-attrition flares. They have way too much health to be shot down with anything but baneless in sufficient numbers. Before y'all whine its range is bad, keep 10k, you like won't hit anything anyway, but the dispersion isn't that bad. If you don't do the first option, maybe increase. I'm gonna guess you're talking about the monopoles. Also, 300 megawatt power take is a good touch if something a little better was added. Okay. Yes, you were. That's what I thought. LRM OP, reduce HP. Monopoles play a role in erasing 10 to 14 mil as a useful weight class. Flagrant cope from a sore loser. Look, I know there's a lot of people that are going to be throwing shade on the monopoles, and yeah, they do put in good work, but it's not like I saw them completely vaporizing people in one fucking go. Flares having a reload now invalidated a lot of the missiles. Monopoles got over-nerfed. Dispersion effectively makes them like a 4K range weapon, and they won't be able to hit anything other than stationary tanks. I disagree. I do believe you could hit the broadside of a barn at a farther range. It's just not going to be a very tight pattern. SRMs feel weak watching Nate Dogg salvos just plop into shieldless ships and them not really having any great effect is kind of sad. I know people think we should make them ignore flares, but personally I think lowering their cost to 100 to 150 and putting on a more aggressive climbing cost on top of upping their damage ever so slightly might get them to be used more and still retain the ability for the defender to juke them with flares instead of SRMs turning into fire and forget damage. LRMs with reloads at their cost is a little overbaked, especially since if you die with them on fire, you might get a martyrdom kill. Yeah, I do distinctly remember that somebody died and they had their LRMs on fire and they were just randomly going off and hitting people during the match. It was a good time.
Mr. Mech did that as well as Nate, I believe. But Nate wasn't dead.
No.
Mr. Mech was actually dead and
Mis-
still killed people.
Yeah, Mr. Deck was...
Nate was just combat ineffective minus
Yeah.
missiles.
Mr. Mech was legally dead and yet still killing people.
Well, I mean, yeah,
If
if
he got
you are
revenge,
just cockpit killed and you still have power, going and finding a terminal and setting your missiles to fire, I don't think that's egregious.
No. Turrets still
It's
fire
kind
when
of
you're
fun.
just dead as well.
Yeah, turrets will still be firing. It's fine.
I'm not...
The only
I'm not-
the only issue would be if the damage is actually.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing that what Mr. Mech was doing, it was perfectly legal. But it was still like, excuse me, sir, why are there LRMs still coming out of you like 5 minutes after you died?
All right, we should finish the comments though
Yep.
before we get into it.
Yeah. We still got a few more comments. Oh, congrats to the nerfs. The monopole did nothing to their effectiveness just because they were pranked by even funnier guns that do more block removal than them doesn't mean that they're not overpowered. 100 BP LRMs might fix without adjustments to weapons. Should explore first, then make weapon changes. Points are an arbitrary system to bounce things around. Let's use it. It's not like removing a few 1x2x2 missile pods are going to massively change your grid shape like a fixed gun point change might. Oh god, this is a long one.
This is very cool.
Also, Baneless is rapid fire gun with big AoE that does 15 AMS damage on every single round instead of a pattern of 2 regular 1 AoE like the Painless. Well, yeah, that's because it's the Baneless. It's distinctly different. Also, Monopole too strong. Maybe health increase a little bit. Increase health a little bit? Excuse me? Have you seen how tanky that thing is?
I think this is another symptom of some of the weapons in our current meta have been a little overcooked, and especially big, obnoxious guns that leave a massive hole where they used to be are going to be extremely obvious markers for that damage removing those things.
Fair. Alright. So,
Monopole also gets non-functioned pretty easily.
Yeah.
maybe we could just drop that line a little bit then. Alright, reduce damage a bit. Some teams are not even using all the mass, bringing faster ship. Yeah, I did notice that.
I will say that I think monopoles make it more dangerous to bring something slow. Yeah.
You wouldn't need to have a tank that would get in trouble if you found itself fighting Squidopolis, Happy, or Dylan, the 3 great monopole enjoyers. It would just kite around the monopole ships, which is frustrating for said monopole enjoyers. Yeah. Less insane DPS might mean that they're just a great fixed gun and elicit an, oh no, help, I'm being monopoled, he's gonna monopole me, help, I've been totally monopoled to death reaction during a match, and less of a pre-test tournament discussion of, well, they probably will have monopoles. We have all received the tank versus monopole experience in scrims. Asterisk. None of our fixed gun users want to fly a monopole tank, which means we would need baby our own tank and worry about it getting caught by a monopole user. So let's just make sure we're all fast enough to never get run down and caught within 5 kilometers of the enemy monopole tank. Triple askers. Turning a 4v4 fight to a 4v3 with one unable to help means we would be fighting with a points advantage. I think there's a lot of assumptions going on here. Granted, we didn't experience monopole versus 4 800 armor block remover per ship, 20 kilometer range, near enough hit scan anti-armor remove your model special beam cannon loadout that UOD brought. And those said scrims. Thank you, UOD. Very cool. We were sweating bullets that we might have to face them after watching what they did to Cyber. 303 and Reaper were very intimidating after that match. I thought they did pretty good. Squid is monopole user, but not a monopole tank. Thus, the opportunity cost of neutralizing him is significantly lower than a 20 to 30 million mass grid with buried monopoles and dense armored cores. Oh my god. Addendum. I'm almost. We're getting there. Addendum. In hindsight, lightweight plans flawed, blah, 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 blah. Oh my god, do I have to keep reading this? Like the monopole tanks did not go after the flag, which was thrown monopole size spanner into the works. Borders fighting tank where the rest of the team could pick or let it grids off. Tech lost a whole ship senior while trying to focus and pick hack sniper apart. Not only did some, frankly, still stupid high amounts of damage before being forced to break off, failing to get rid of sniper tank twin Ares, and also failing to remove enough power for the twin Ares at the cost of tech sniper getting torn apart by hack fast members, losing thrust that could be used later to flag cap. Going from 2.7 gigawatts to 127 megawatts in power. Fixed guns that had never fired again in that match. Tech would have lost if they couldn't ignore the monopole tank or cap flags if said tank had text flag. Good lord.
I don't understand what that addendum is saying.
I
but
don't understand
I think I
either.
understand the spirit.
SRMs are too expensive and don't really offer much. Increase their speed turning, reduce their range, make them immune to flares. No. MRMs don't quite do the damage they need to be doing to be worth it. Also, minimum 3K range really makes them awkward to use at times. Well, they're medium range missiles. UNN and MCRNs are both slow and easy to PD. They used to be anti-fast missile. Now they are just nothing. I am sad. I remember when I pushed for UN MCRNs and then consequently UNNs because I wanted them to be the replacement for the Grims. At least in the sense of they go really, really fast and they smack you. Bring back the Grim MCRNs and UNNs. LRMs felt good to use, but might be a little too cheap for what they do. I also didn't realize that they had a reload till like halfway through the match. Really? Bruh.
It's a new change. If they haven't been around since then
Monopole
makes sense.
nerf seemed unnecessary.
Sure.
Okay. Comments time.
Yeah, so the Recore missiles, I want to hold off on changing stuff there until there's more UI feedback. Like what Tate just said, I didn't know they had reloads. So I'm going to wait till there's like a reload indicator and a minimum firing range indicator saying your missile can't fire at its target. You're not far enough. Wow. Instead of shit just not working. That is the main issue.
Okay.
I agree that having HUD indicators for those things would be useful, but I also don't think it's the correct choice to just leave them alone.
Yeah.
I think they still should get a balance pass regardless, and then we can fix the user and experience later. But
I think there are some small changes we can make things feel better. MRMs and SRMs could use light buffs. LRMs could use slight nerfs.
health specifically on various things could probably be adjusted, as well as behavior, not reloads, and minimum ranges and life.
I don't think we should change, like, on the SRMs. They still need to get affected by flares. You're not going to convince me otherwise. It's a goddamn missile. It gets flared.
Yeah, that was an interesting, like, mechanical idea. But truly it just makes it into, like, a shotgun with smart projectiles. You gotta get close and fire them, and sometimes they can get shot down but not flared. I like the idea of being able to use your flare as it's intended. And it would make the pack inconsistent among itself. They just need a little love.
I also don't know if you can actually make a missile just immune to flares without introducing some jank.
You can. The fighters have that ignore anti-smart field.
Hey, that is a toggle that exists. I forgot about that. The only solution I had in my mind was just removing their health, which would be its own problem.
Yeah.
If they don't have health, can they get shot down by
No.
No,
the?
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't want to do that. No. Okay, so the missiles just need some love across the board. We can discuss that more internally.
Well, we can discuss it
Bing.
more now, even since we're
Or-
at the Balance Council for discussing that stuff. I know, Chet, you had a bunch of changes.
Not all
You
of them.
think tanked lined up for some missiles.
I had some changes, but they're mostly things that I believe Invalid would rather not change at the moment, such as adjustments to minimum ranges and what's the other thing? Minimum ranges and reloads.
Let's just bring everything back to no reloads, except for the MCRN torpedoes.
That would solve some problems, however, probably not ideal.
No.
We have some changes staged as far as health, and I was going to take a look at behavior. Ultimately up to Invalid at this current juncture.
I'd focus on health. Yeah, that's what I'd focus on.
Yeah, some health and damage. I think the MRMs and SRMs can both use like a hair more damage to them.
I'd
They
rather
feel a
points
little inept when they
than...
hit.
Anyway, does anyone else from the audience have Recore?
Tibbs.
We haven't talked about the monopole at all.
suggestions they'd like to
Yeah, I
share?
was gonna. Okay, I mean, if we want to bring them up here, we still had the baneless I wanted to ask about, and then the monopole.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Mm,
I'm between
I know.
different things right now.
I know.
Understood.
Baneless.
Arrows.
What's up with the bane? Oh, what do you mean arrows? No one used the arrows.
Exactly.
Arrows are fine.
Okay.
And I already know what I want for the MR. I have already said what I want for the MCRNs and the UNNs.
The arrows
Bring
are reload.
back the Grim. I don't need it to do what the Grim did. I just need it to be as fast as the Grim used to be. Remember the Grims? We all remember the
That's the
Grims.
MCRNs. The MCRNs catch fast movers.
But they don't do anything. The part of the Grim was it being a scary fast missile. You wanted to not get hit by it. The Grims were scary. I want to bring back the Grim.
I mean, Grims also had the possibility of just instantly KOing you sometimes, so, you know.
Yeah, and the
That's another reason they were
Cocytus and
scary.
Tartarus also exist.
I
But
know.
I remember bringing 2 Grims per ship all through Season 2, specifically because every once in a while I would launch a Grim and then the enemy would suddenly not have shields anymore. Because I changed the
Anyways.
shield controller.
Pipe dream of adding Grims back aside, you wanted to talk about the Baneless.
Talk about the bay. Sorry.
Yeah. What's up with the Baneless? Yeah, but I want mine. In my color, Nate. Because blue is cooler than red. For a torpedo. Or green, or whatever it is. Anyway. Baneless. What is the Baneless supposed to do? Because I think part of the problem with people think it being too weak is they don't understand what it should be doing versus what the Painless does.
It's a Painless with different barrel setup and a longer reload at the moment.
Okay.
So it fires more. It's supposed to be like an upgraded Painless, like it fires more than your standard Painless. But still acts similar.
Sure. It's supposed to be a 1-to-1 skin, but the difference between 4 barrels and 1 barrel makes the math hard, so we just kind of... This would have been like a year ago. We just kind of winged it.
Doable. You could make it a 1-to-1 skin. It would just take some time.
Just give it a little bit of a buff and a little bit of a points increased and make it distinct. Let's just make it like equivalent of 2 Painless and give it a buff. That's my 2 cents.
Could maybe also resurrect the shotgun AMS concept.
Nah. We got enough problems.
Not flak, but like shotgun. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what they originally were.
Let's hold off on new concepts as we implement
Right.
the new concepts from Nate.
Yeah.
Yep. Good idea.
All right. I'm not really worried about the medium or the large laser there and laser. They do the laser monopoles.
Alright, my thought on the monopole is that basically everyone actually here makes decent points. The damage is a little funny, but it needs to be a little funny. It's a skyscraper-sized Gatling gun. I think you could turn down its damage by like 5% or less, while giving it slightly more health above its functionality line. Not a lot, but a little bit more survivability there. And then bring its dispersion that we nerfed it somewhere between where it was and where it is now to make it still reward you for aiming. So a buff to damage, slight buff to dispersion, and nerfing its output by a hair to keep it in check for just demolishing all tanks.
Little adjustments, not
Little
hammer
little
adjustments.
little adjustments, yeah.
Yeah.
Incremental changes.
Okay. Very
Worth checking
gently.
out.
Honestly, the nerf to range was very warranted.
Yeah. Previously, with their dispersion, speed, and range, I mean, it took effort, but they could still very easily target fast movers as well as tanks, and that was very unfun to fly against in any context.
Yep.
It's a little better now.
All right. So we have a
And-
request from the floor, Mr.
Let's do it.
Persons. Mr. Persons, I press the button. That means you press your button. Oh, good lord.
He's dead.
He died.
Hans,
Persons, try it again.
you use the button in the middle of
Okay.
the button. Press the button.
It's the button. There you
There you
go.
go.
Now you're cooking
Okay,
with gas.
Sorry, I had it popped out. So
Ah.
anyway, I would like to add one side matter to the monopole discussion. Quite frankly, I think they're mostly fine, but there's one thing about them that actually bothers me. For reasons that are not clear to me at this point, when they hit you, they cause a lot of blocks to become disconnected from your grid, and this causes your grid to jank around a lot. I think the effect is somewhat proportional to your ping, and it gets a lot worse if you turn off, if you toggle prediction. I really wish that could be fixed, because it just makes getting hit by the monopole feel really unpleasant. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right.
Probably because of its AoE.
AoE get nerd. Okay.
It detaches blocks in a way. I don't even know. Like a quick fix would be to just make cleanup, nuke everything. That's not your ship, I guess.
This
Is there?
But
Bring-
that to be done per server.
bring back the super aggressive kill.
That would be a little disappointing, as having actual debris fields is kind of nice. Ground ships, having them be able to cloud. Is there
Uh,
anything like a minimum damage threshold that exists? Doesn't
Yes.
do damage below this health? Maybe could look at doing something like that, like doesn't disconnect blocks as much. Oh, that would be
Yeah, we'll
relatively
see.
jank.
We can look into it. All right. So that. Anything else for Recore? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, sold. All right. StarCore Heavy Assault. All right. So, Nyx, 2 week, or we just don't know. Followed up by the Mammon, which is also pretty much 2 week, or we just don't know. Thanatos, mixed bag of what the hell is going on. Tick Tone, for the ones that know, it's either 2 week or just right. Vulcan, apparently people just think it's weak sauce, which I am kind of confused about. I mean, it's still the gigantic fuck off gun. Tartarus, though, coming in strong at just right. Followed with the Cocytus, still coming in very strong in the just right. Some people saying the Cocytus was 2 weak. What were you smoking? I don't know. And then the flare launchers are still coming in strong, definitely doing alright. Yep, we're gonna talk about the Cocytus. Guarantee. Give me just a second. What? Yeah, but it's still a big fuck off chain gun. I mean, come on. Alright, let me get through the comments really quick and then we'll start talking. So, Mammons have always been bad in terms of damage / shields. Thanatos are good, but a little too close range. What? Vulcan can be good, but after half a mag, dumb. Dump? Dump. Tartarus good, did good damage if used a lot, I'd say, so keep it. I think that the stream of consciousness here is a little bit fractured. Flares did good job, maybe remake it to have it look like a flare, not many flares. What? My brain's hurting. I don't understand. I'm moving on.
You're going to fire one countermeasure and hope it works?
Moving on. I would really appreciate an aim tolerance reduction on the Thanatos. Even reducing their firing arc would help. Very sad to see the gun with the long reload blow its ammo into space. If you want to keep flare reloads, just grid limit them to 1. Otherwise, they invalidate most missiles. Nyx Mammon just feel like they don't have a place when there are way better anti-armor energy weapons. Who would win, 14 Erebos or 1 box of flares? Depends on what you're doing. Wind up on Tick Tone makes them kind of annoying to use. It's a big-ass rotary shotgun. What do you expect? Especially since there isn't a wind-up noise, so combined with server issues, you sometimes pull the trigger and wonder what the fuck is happening. I mean, they probably could use a wind-up noise. At least the missiles are cool. Agreed. Thanatos is still drunk as a skunk. Mammons only have excellent shield damage. Flares have 2 shots, everyone, in case you didn't know. We have the technology now, as of mid to late Season 3, to make Tartarus not do 180-degree U-turns in space. When it overshoots a grid, but more cinematic 250-meter to 500-meter arcing turns. We should do that while making sure the cinematic addition doesn't ruin the missile's effectiveness by making it never hit a grid. Big sweeping U-turns do throw off kinetic point defense. They can't predict where to shoot it, to hit it, until it goes back on a straight path, so that's another potential issue to look for. Otherwise, no downsides, only cool upsides. Cool face. Tick Tone requires way too much effort and not enough benefits in terms of damage. Likewise, Vulcans feel a bit anemic for having only 1 that fires for a minute. More damage for both, I suppose, like 30% more. Unsure as all hell, only stuff I saw was the missiles, anti-missile stuff from this. Nyx and Mammon can't track at all. Well, did anybody have anything they want to say before I open the floor?
No. That's heavy assault. Well, one shot is all the missiles technically, but heavy assault turrets are. Yes, Sam. Gonna need
Sorry.
some big thinking.
Okay.
Janik wants to speak though.
Yep. Get in here, nerd. Mr. Aristius, you have the floor. Why isn't your mic working? I don't know. You're not muted on my end.
He's dead.
He is dead. Try it again.
He left the floor.
I think his mic has malfunctioned.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
Gone. he's back.
He was resetting his Discord.
IQ is an awful piece of software. Anyway, let's see. So I want to talk about the Tigtone and Vulcan. I know that we kind of want to keep around the Tigtone because yes, it is one of Wiseman's few guns that are still here, but I think it is in desperate need of rework. Has poor damage. It's annoying to use. The model is a bit dated, and no one has ever brought it to a tournament, as far as I'm aware of. The Vulcan, however, is one of the very few skill-based guns that are still somewhat viable. I think that it deserves a slight buff. That is all.
Okay.
You alright?
I'm not attached to heavy assault and wouldn't be sad to see anything go except for the Vulcan.
You're gonna
I
throw out
share a
the. Wait.
similar opinion.
Okay. Because I have Tartarus and Cocytus and Heavy Assault. Are they Heavy Assault or are they supposed to be in a
They're
different
one
pack?
shot. They can.
They're-
I don't have a
That
button
could be
for
under
that.
a blanket Wiseman's mods, so it's fine.
Okay. So they stay where they're at.
But after that, I'll probably actually physically combine them into a mod at one point, but it's fine as it is now.
Okay. Alright. So, Tigtone needs a rework, question mark?
Who is currently
Do we wanna-
managing the heavy assault guns with Wiseman not here right now?
Me?
Okay. What do you
Is
want
this
me
someone
to
else?
write down?
We'll
We'll go with that.
Tigtone wind up. The thing I'm gonna go over in a bit just shouldn't make this an issue, I guess.
Okay. Anything else we want to comment on? Perhaps the next amendment?
Oh yeah, the feel of the heavy assault weapons, like what's the word I'm looking for? FX, feedback needs. I don't know, probably get Nate to look at them and apply particle brain.
Okay.
No, that's very much it.
Hmm?
That's it.
Okay. Okay. Alright. And the next, StarCore Invalid Edition. It's all that crap that's invalid
Wow.
stuff. Well, you didn't give me an actual name for it. So I'm like, this is the shit Invalid made. It goes here.
Literally me.
Literally invalid. First
What is
up,
him?
the Sun Launcher. Still looking pretty good. The Longsword. What the fuck? We have no idea. Tidying hangers and rails. You either don't know or it's doing alright. The ever loved faulty solid rocket booster. Still doing pretty good. Some people say it's strong. You know what? It's a faulty solid rocket booster. It's free. Get over it.
That's not why they think it's strong.
Why? It's because you can bump fire it all day and it's not going to blow up and
No.
kill you?
No, because it's a giant high integrity block that you can use as the spine of your ship and you will never fall apart.
Because you bump fire it and it doesn't blow up like it's supposed to when it runs out.
Yeah, or you just never use it. Both. But it being used as the core of grids is...
I can use the
illegal, so-
monopole or a Hydra as the core of my grid.
Monopole's not nearly as durable.
Whatever.
And it's literally free, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
also,
see.
it's also fucking heavy, okay? Free is a relative term.
I wish we had the scripting abilities for like triggering stuff when shoot on off is pressed or whatever.
That would be hilarious. Because if we could stop
get
the
that
bump
too.
firing, that would be awesome. Anyway,
It was...
let me finish these.
Sorry.
Det pack. Fucking sexy. Afterburners. All the afterburners are doing fine. Dampening enhancer. Mixed bag of I don't know what's going on with this thing. What's this does? Who knows? Alright, so we'll read the comments. Dampening enhancers are too expensive to be worth taking. Solid rocket boosters are way too tanky to the point where they can be used to absorb an absurd amount of damage. Okay. Sun didn't pull hard enough, I say. Tidian should be back to OG pre-season 4. They kind of suck now. Should suggest more burn with afterburner, but that's it. Dampening enhancer should have a little more integrity. Make slams cracked again. Yeah, I forgot to take the slams off of there. No, we're not bringing them back. Long swords need a health increase or something. They're fairly easy to defeat with flares or point defense. They get a little close to the enemy, maybe a little more distance apart would solve the issue. T-44 nerf was unnecessary. I disagree. It was never supposed to be the way it was. Took away a very fun playstyle. No, it took away a cheaty playstyle.
That's a symptom of another bigger issue with thrusters that can be talked about later.
Yep. I'm willing to get rolled by a fast mover if I can play the high-speed middleweight again. Request denied. T-42L gets a little too weak separately because it does not have the stats its info says it does. And you were going to put in a ticket about this when? People, we don't make the ticket system for our health. Most definitely not.
Tickets are important. If you put in a ticket, someone will look at it at least once, if not multiple times. So it will get looked at, as opposed to keeping the information in your back pocket and never saying anything other than a comment on a
Feedback form?
feedback sheet every once in a while. Yeah.
And don't make the mistake I
Right.
did, and assuming that because everyone in the voice call you're with is talking about and knows about a thing, that you shouldn't make a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Always.
Just because everyone knows about it doesn't mean that the people who can do something about it might know about it.
Correct. Okay, let me go on here. So I'm not a big fan of solid rocket boosters being big free armor that also acts as thrust and people can cheese so they don't explode. Yeah, I don't like the cheesy part of it. Suggestion would be either make them squishier, as one would expect from a giant fucking rocket pod, or give them a point value. You want a point value? Don't let me pick a point value. You're not gonna like it. The slams are back.
Reactions.
No, the slams are not back. Tibbs was tired and forgot to remove the entry from the sheet.
That's a good one, Chet. Critical reactions, I'm writing that down. They actually work now.
No. Yeah, they got reworked yesterday. That's what I was going to bring up.
Yep. Dead packing while holding flag technology is being developed in the back rooms as we speak. No. No. You dead pack when you're holding a flag, you're going to drop it, Butterfingers. As you should. Hot take. Give longswords unlimited reloads, but, like, Okay, but like if the ship gets shot down, it's a 3 to 4 minute wait to get it back. No. Tidying
Is there even
rails
a way to
seems...
increase something's reload based on if your ship is taking damage? I mean, I imagine with scripting, but
Not easily.
Tidying rails seem nice to have. They could do with a point cost reduction. They're massive fucking things. Only batshit crazy people, hello Tate, are willing to use the rails and not the boxes. I mean, they look cool. My comment on the fighter bomber things is when I see them shooting a grid, the amount of like little particles that are coming off of the impacts is just ridiculous. They make it seem like they're doing a lot more damage than they're actually doing. My comment is please just like take about 20% off of that. They don't need to look like they're vaporizing your grid when they're just, scratching your paint. Just saying. I'm putting it on the sheet.
Power of the API expansion, maybe.
Are we to the discussion part yet? I wasn't.
Yeah, we're to discuss. What do you want to discuss?
In addition to maybe considering critical reactions again for the SRB, something we thought about the other day in a voice chat, I forget who it was giving the SRB a larger, like giving it a large exclusion zone, so you actually have to put it somewhere other than the core of your ship. It would force you to push it away from other weapons, and which means that you probably wouldn't be able to put it into the core of your ship unless you have an exceptionally large vessel.
Maybe they'd have to use... They wouldn't work from the center because they're so long. Like, you just stick it on the head. So you'd have to use the from edge, or whatever that option is for restriction.
Yeah.
So maybe. But,
Is a solution, and it would partially solve the problem with backboning with those types of blocks, but it has its own pros and cons, of course.
give your ship a keel.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. What else? Anything else for the SRBs? Anything else for, the stuff?
not really.
What's
Other
up?
than, I'll be looking into Drone Advanced for the smarts and making them avoid blocker plates, finally. That's pretty much it.
Did I leak again?
No, you're fine.
Good.
Next.
Did anybody from the floor want to say anything about this stuff before we move on? Raise your hand. No? Okay. The special box. Alright, so specialized mods. Blink drive. Still doing just fine. Chasms. Some people think they're too strong. Most people think they're just fine. I think they're really cool to watch, and I still like calling them Palpatines occasionally. The Goncol Magna Pulse Shield Doohickey. I think this is the thing that's supposed to give you health for your shields. Most people don't know what the hell is going on with it. I agree. Blast plates. Doing just fine. Some people think it's a little overcooked, but you know what? It's got 100% climate cost on it, so I think that's okay. Structural integrity field generator. You either don't know, or you can't decide if it's too strong or just right. And you know what? I'm sure there's some thoughts on that. And then we have the Nova Cannon from the 40k mod. For those that do know, it appears to be doing alright. Some people think it's too weak, but not a lot.
Yep.
So
I have thoughts.
okay, well let me get through the comments really quick and then we can do that. Alright. I love the chasm, I want to have its babies. I agree. I think they're cool. The Gonk does
I don't agree.
I think they're cool. I didn't
That's
say
disgusting.
that they get whatever. Let me finish. The Gonk does a hilarious amount of healing to shields that is very frustrating to fight. I don't know, did we see a lot of people using that other than like
I
Oat?
think we had just oat, and they didn't actually use it. They did other things instead.
Yeah, they didn't even try to use it. I think they were just having a fun time with themselves. I like what you guys did with the blink in its toolbar. Sweet. Reinforced blast plate is very heavy, but I can understand why, though, not the BP. We put the BP the way we did on the blast plate because you can get really memey really quick if you put a lot of blast plates in your ship. So,
When they were first introduced with the lower cost, people were literally building their ships out of blast plates only. It
yeah,
was very cringe.
super cringe. So that's a hard no, hard pass. Make slam. There aren't even slams in here. Stop. Nova Cannon needs to get its original firing frame back. I don't understand what that means. I'm sure Darth will tell us in a minute. Structural integrity is probably not ideal in its current configuration. I don't know if it's OP per se, but it feels a little mandatory. I don't know. I didn't see a lot of people using it. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It does feel nice to use. I sort of wish it had some visual effects so you could see it pulling weight. Okay. Blinks are still a bit bugged. Had a few times where it said I had a charge and didn't. Yeah, to fix that, you just have to turn it off and turn it back on, like your computer. Didn't have blink issues during the tourney, so good job on the fix. Sweet. Why heal ship no uses heal gun? Go ask the pilot, not me. I wonder if we've ever seen effective use of that thing. Yeah, so do I. Structural integrity field seems to cause a lot of problems. Also, the 30 plus resistance creates issues with certain weapons not being able to effectively destroy certain components when comboed with the BAR. And it just ends up limiting the weapon pack if you don't want to throw, since most people understand to build their ships around high integrity components. And as guns
Requires further
develop,
discussion.
yes, in a second. Guns develop more and more infinite damage. A wise man stood above the fray and invented a plate of infinite health, restoring the balance of the solar system. Very funny. All of these are overperforming. Lol, poor OP Nova Cannon getting outclassed by even more OB Forager. But we should focus on the other more pressing issues first. Thank you for clarifying. Arcs do not have the oomph they used to. Also, I think the Gonk needs tactics built around it to be useful. I can agree with that. At least on the tactics for the Gonk. Blink is nice, so is the field generator. It's nice to be in a 10 million mass grid that felt like a 15 to 20 million mass grid in terms of durability after I lost shields. Makes me actually consider not running shields for some scrims with the field generator to fuck around and find out with. You go ahead and fuck around and find out. Because
Based
apparently, structural integrity field seems unnecessary. Okay. Alright, who wants to go first? Chet? Darth? invalid? Anybody? One of you talk?
Sorry.
Talking.
Uh,
Well, the field gen works, so
Yeah.
they care about its balance.
That's a stance to take. I've asked a lot about the field generator and how to. I posted some ideas for reworks and asked for people to come up with their accompanying ideas as well as general feedback on it, and I got very conflicting responses to that. None of which were do this one. All of which were, it's fine as it is. It's not fine as it is. It needs more resistance actually, or it needs less resistance actually, or power needs to be changed, etc., so on and so forth, which doesn't actually really help in terms of finding a good balance with it. I need feedback that is more helpful, I guess, is what I should say.
If nobody can agree, then obviously they're probably closer to being fine than we think, and they just don't know how to.
Maybe.
They just don't know how to cope with it yet.
Nate, it stacking multiplicatively with base resistance does not mean that the resistance itself is 50%. That means it's stacking multiplicatively with the base resistance. So it is 30% just stacking that, yeah.
Hold on, Nate.
As far as what do people want to see with the field generator, like, I know power rework is something people want because at the moment the just straight percentage on how it works is not really all that great. Having an actual power cost would be good, probably. What do you mean? There is that heat budget version of the rework that I did, which does seem to have some favor.
Okay.
But yeah, I think at the moment just I want to develop some alternatives or alternative functions. Alternative. What's the word? Alternative. Make one of the reworks in parallel with the current one. Test both. Observe in general, and then make a decision later.
Alternative options.
Yeah, Janik. Yeah, Janik. That is. Did you read the? Yeah.
Okay.
Go read it first.
Nate.
If the SI field gen could be the first thing of the multi-block framework, that would be pretty based.
We could do something like that, yeah.
Agreed based. Nate would like to join us. So I'm going to go press the button. Get up here, you.
Hey, Chet, is the SI field gen different on the dev server than on the live server?
No. Is there even a
Alright.
dev version of that mod? If so, I have
No,
yet
but
to
it's on
actually
the
push
server.
I have yet to actually push any changes to a dev version for the
Okay,
reworks.
so,
I was working
doing-
on that, but a thing happened.
Doing a lot of tests with it. Oh shoot, when was this day? This was gonna be like on the 4th. Yeah, I did a bunch of tests with it on the 4th, and
Okay.
I was getting a 50% resist.
In what
Like-
circumstances? On what blocks?
Testing against components. So like shooting a ace. I think it was a hurricane, which has just the 300% resist.
Yeah.
It has this. The hurricane has just about the same HP as a Mark II coil cannon. Mark II coil cannon has the 300% resist, and on top of the 50% heavy turret modifier.
Right.
Shooting a like I did all the math later. I'll just say in simple terms. The shooting a hurricane makes it take the same damage as if you shot a grid without an SI field gen. If you shot a Mark II coil cannon, it has the resist modifier that's 50% on it. So, and then of course shooting basically it took a 1 million HP effective turret and made it act like a 1.5 million HP turret. Shooting the Mark II coil, which is 1.5 thanks to a 50% resist, on top of the 300, makes it behave like a 2 million HP turret instead of 1.5.
Right.
So not
Did
quite
you-
as much of a gain, but yeah.
Did you test against armor?
No, just against big component blocks.
Okay.
So I was getting a 50%.
For one, it isn't. What you say might be true. I'll have to look into it myself as well. But
Which
it's it's an incomplete data set. But yeah, that is something to look into.
Yep.
And if it
I also
happens to
tested with
only
stacking with the flag. The flag also does the exact same thing with 50%. It
Yeah,
does
so
not
it won't
stack with
stack.
the flag, and I wonder maybe if the flag is messing with it. Maybe I don't know.
maybe
'cause
they
it's
just use the
50%.
same. They use the same. I believe. Invalid.
It
Correct me if
also
I'm wrong, but they both
consumes-
use the VLSP grid modifier, right?
It was also telling me
Yes.
that it was consuming 450 of 300 megawatts on my grid.
That might be
Which I
related
thought
to some
was
changes. That might be related to some changes I made.
So that's probably where it's getting the extra from. We'll say like at 15%, it was a 25% resist, and I did the testing, shooting at blocks,
On
and then
top
writing down
of
the math.
components specifically.
I was testing it with the Hurricane and the Mark II.
Right.
And
If- I
the
imagine-
shield generator, the air pressurizer shield generator, just because it was really big and it had enough HP to actually survive a shot from a Somnus, which I was using
So,
to shoot.
what results did you get? So that was all component blocks. that you
All
tested
it
out.
basically gave it a 50% increase. When it was at 15% on the slider, it was a 25% increase. And at 0%, it was 0% increase. Just making sure that it wasn't any phantom resist. Yeah.
I wonder if it's specifically components that are the issue. Maybe only have it apply to armor. See if that changes things. I don't know. Something to consider in the future.
I see people talking about the idea of it making shieldless grids a viable option, and I've talked about this before, but the only way to do that would be to make it hard or soft exclusive with shields, because at the moment the problem isn't the SI field gen being not good enough to compete with shields. It's the fact that shields are so cheap. You would never not take shields with their pricing right now.
Simply give the shield
I
less,
have
more
I have had the idea of making, if you made the SI field gen as cheap as shields and give the field gen and the shield controller like a massive climbing cost to each other, so if you take one, the other becomes astronomically more expensive. Not prohibitively, or not you could take both. It would be expensive.
Yeah.
But this means if you wanted to give up on one and take the other, it becomes as cheap as it is now to put shields on your grid.
How much is integrity block?
Either that or you just make them actually explicitly exclusive, and that's the only way to actually make the choice a choice.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Generators are 400.
As far as the Nova Cannon,
Yeah.
I want to give it a small, again incremental reload speed buff and projectile speed buff. That is all.
Okay. All right.
You're correct, Spartan. That's my bad.
450. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nate. Unless you had anything else. All right. Cool.
You did not?
Cool. I don't hear anybody else having anything else they wanted to talk about up here. So, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Sold. We're moving on. And we're coming to the end. Special questions and wrap up. Do you have any recordings of your fights showing issues? Share them here. People posted clips.
Oh boy.
People posted clips. I'm not looking at them right now. No.
Not.
It is 10:30, chat. Somebody has to go to work tomorrow morning.
I mean, so do I.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
have to
yeah.
get up at 4 in the morning and take a train, so I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, that's fair, yeah.
It's movie night in class. You can't take this away from us.
y'all can see the clips. They're right there. Let me just read this.
Yeah, we did have we had like 5 POVs this event in particular, so
Yep.
I imagine there's some footage of lots of things going wrong.
Oh, yeah. So you got that. No. They put blank. No videos. Main issue, notice performance go vary wildly between servers. Combat Sim 1 seems better than Combat 2. I don't understand. How come every Combat 2 we've ever had is just been rude? Doesn't matter where
For
it
the
is.
HMK server, I might need to just allocate more RAM and CPU to it, I guess. Space Engineers runs on nothing as a server.
Fair.
Before, like 8-month-long survival with 10 trillion grids, but
Yeah, fair. Why video game crash? Blah. Blank driving is now instantaneous, or whatever. Meanwhile, the blank drives. More clips. Same tick flag handling caused total game death. Yes, I was there for that. That was unfortunate. Returning your own flag to base is too easy currently. You should have to try to hit the flag model itself. Or the radius to do that should be small enough that it's believable that you did touch the flag. Would also make more sense to the viewers of the stream on what exactly is happening. Okay, there are a lot of clips here. Do we really need to watch all the clips? Or are we good? Invalid.
Maybe not.
I think we're okay. The blink one only, which refers to what is the blink one?
Which one? Is it the blink driving is now instantaneous with no side effects?
Yeah, there are 4 clips here for that apparently. Do we want to watch these?
Just use the YouTube one at the top. We'll watch that.
This one?
Yeah, Squidopoulos says probably the first one. Ooh. Oh,
Oh, yeah, that.
Let me try. Okay, now it's bigger.
You mean
We
the
can do that
sliding?
again.
So Spartan blinks, then Dylan takes his fat ass and slides over. So that's actually the result of where your character is. That's a really good example. So, God, how do I even... I think Janik, we know this. We saw this and tested it. The syncing of grids is based on where your character is and like the interpolation of stuff moving between points quickly. So Spartan was like at 2 kilometers, and Dylan was like at 2.5 kilometers from the cameraman's player model. So Spartan synced instantly, and then Dylan interpolated. That's just how Spenges works.
which clip are you talking about, Nate? The 3 after. Oh, are those all the same clip? Just from different perspectives?
I love how we're watching this and there's my commentary from a completely different thing happening in this fight.
Yeah, which only you and I saw, I think.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay, there. We watched another clip. Everybody
Oh
should
god,
be
I
happy.
hear myself. This is awful.
I know, I agree. Hearing myself is also awful. Okay, enough with the video clips. What adjustments would you suggest we consider for the new Capture the Flag mode? Thank you, Nate. Okay, there's a lot of comments here. Might I suggest getting rid of the angular velocity check for flag grip? It kind of deuters afterburners. That was the point. When you pick up the flag, you should not floor it. That gives you butterfingers. I'm sure some of you learned that. I am also sure some of you didn't, because I was watching. Speaking. It disproportionately affects afterburners? I thought that was the point, though.
Yeah. Yes, afterburners give you lots of acceleration.
What are you talking
I
about,
used
Greg?
my afterburner perfectly fine, watching the grip and stopping before I dropped it and letting it go back up and then afterburning again, and I had no issues. Maybe it had issues for other people with like worse connections. I don't know.
Baby noise.
Yes, baby noise. I don't know. When first obtaining the flag, it can be a pain to get moving and keep hold of the flag. Again, refer to the previous statement. I saw what was happening. There were people that picked up the flag and understood I cannot floor it because then I instantly get butterfingers. When you're holding the flag, you have to be a little gentle on your acceleration. If you try to accelerate really hard, you're going to drop the flag because you can't hold on to the flag when you're flooring it.
Something we could do is turn down the regeneration of grip and simultaneously turn down the effect acceleration has on grip at the same time.
I don't know. I think when you actually understand the point of it and you're able to effectively feather your thruster control to not just floor it instantly.
It's really more of
Yeah,
a map design
I
issue.
did that. So I did exactly that. I feathered my afterburner and didn't drop the flag and was able to do so with entirely intentional use.
Mm-hmm. And I was following you around the camera for a little while when you were doing that, and I was like, oh yeah. You got it down. Who's pinging me?
The intent is to make you vulnerable so that someone could run up and tackle you and get their flag back, which is fun video games.
Thrusters lose very little grip because they're very little acceleration comparative to afterburners. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think, does the grip meter at all even watch angular or rotational velocity, or does it only watch linear?
I'm pretty sure it's just linear.
Yeah, so if it's, I don't think the angular velocity is the problem here. It's just it accelerates you very fast in a direction, which counts because it's affecting your linear velocity.
Get accelerated, nerd. Alright, I want to keep this moving. I like when people do objective. Agreed. Add a seeable timer. Yeah, we should bring the timer back.
Yeah, we'll need that.
Yeah, integrating it with ShareTrack again would be good. Requires some time, of course.
Maybe a smaller map. No, not a smaller map. We've already talked about more cover in the map. The map is
Breaking
not
up
smaller.
the-
The map looks smaller. It's still the same 20 kilometers it's always been. It's just with the ring in the middle at 10 kilometers, everyone instantly assumes they have to stay around the ring. You still got 20 kilometers, people. There's just not a lot of stuff going on in it right now.
That and the cover issue could partially maybe be solved by breaking the ring up from a solid object to a looser collection of objects. So it's not so much.
I
of
love the
a
ring. The
monolithic
ring looks so
barrier.
good.
No, I like
It
the
looks
ring.
cool, but
I like the ring where it's at, but I think if we bring back some cover outside of the ring, like put some asteroids outside the ring area, so that way the people remember the arena is bigger than the ring. With nothing outside of the ring, pretty much, they all go, "Oh, the ring is the only part of the arena I'm gonna be in. The rest of it's just null space." No, we need
ring is
more. People are fixating on the
is
ring.
cool,
Yeah.
but it's kind of monolithic, which is why I think breaking it up would help maybe with that perception a little bit.
Make it
Give it more
explode.
gaps.
Make it look like we shot it.
Smaller in some sections.
Ooh, make
No,
it.
we can
make
we
it.
can fiddle around with the arena for sure.
We would need more models to use as entity cover.
Oh, you know what I
Yeah,
just had a
that.
thought of? Remember when one of the Halo rings got blown up? Like halfway blown up? Yeah, make the ring look like that. We blow up half the ring. And just spread the
I
chunks
tried
out.
making some models for entity cover, but hit a brick wall pretty fast because you have some constraints and the most creative person. So if somebody else would like to try their hand at making us some models we can use for entity cover, that would be very cool.
Yeah. Okay, reduce the defense buff from flag. What? I don't know.
Is currently at 50%.
I think it's fine.
So maybe we could. maybe.
I think it's fine. Volume on commentary was a tad low. Look, we weren't planning on doing commentary stuff this season, but I guess we're doing it anyway, so...
It's boring to watch a stream without, even if it's going to be edited down, dubbed over later, whatever. It is still boring to watch actually live
That was the
with no commentary.
chat. We weren't planning on having an actual live stream,
Right.
but now we're doing it
I know.
anyway. So
Because people like to watch. If there was no stream, it would be really boring for everybody who's not currently fighting.
yeah, no, we'll
After doing it, it's not actually that bad. So I can probably continue it.
yeah. Chet and Tips are talking about cool stuff, but not the stuff that Invalid's watching. So I guess what
Yeah.
we can do for the next tournament stream is we'll set up the side streams again. Because I remember we had
Good
the
try.
split side streaming thing.
That was also set up on Twitch, but we'll have to look into it.
I could probably figure out something. I mean, I technically have a Twitch. I now have an OBS. Look at me. I'm a streamer now. This is
I stream
me.
on Twitch as well.
Wow. You
Ooh,
guys...
multi-stream. Invalid, do you have a Twitch?
Yes.
Does Twitch still have issues with multi-streaming to YouTube and Twitch, or
They got rid of that.
they get rid of it? Is it not doable at all? Ever?
No, they got rid of the being pissy about multi-streaming.
Oh,
You
good.
can do that
Doable.
now without issue.
Sweet.
At
rather-
least at the tier of monetization any of our streams would be at, they don't give a fuck. Officially, yes.
I mean, we're not even at the monetizations tier, so
No.
sure.
I think the only person who was at that tier was muzzled, and of course not stream.
Of course,
Yeah.
anyone who runs a couple of streams with all of StarCore participants watching will probably get a
A thing, whatever.
With-
We'll worry about it later.
Yeah, with
I
how
can
many?
probably-
But with how many?
Big fucking dying. Let's go.
I can probably bring back the picture stuff. Let's move on.
Agreed. Moving on.
Finish it before Tibbs collapses.
Thank you. I don't really like capture the flag. I instantly don't want to read the rest of this statement.
Read it.
It creates such uncertainty and encourages NASCARing. Really? NASCARing now. Oh, so we're all going to drive in an oval making a left turn.
I did.
For Sans
This
to
is
say,
cr-
this is cringe. I wrote it. It's in-
Please ignore this. Okay. I'm going to read it
Get it.
anyway. I may change my mind when I win a TT, though. Also, McBuff, McMobility. The fuck? I don't know how you would do this in a way that doesn't make some ship class, especially fast mover, absolute AIDS. But Speed Brawler is more addictive than crack, so I have to advocate for it. Lol. Anyway, in general, I think that all ships should feel responsive and pleasant to flying, even if in different ways, and I'm not 10,000% sure that this is the case right now. I'm aware I'm tossing a diffuse and impossible problem at you, but I wanted to toss it out there anyway. Thank you for that very wonderful contribution. A set time limit of 20 minutes with a visible counter. Agreed, we were already at 20 minutes. We got to turn the counter back on. It was needed after the season over. Kind of baffling that it wasn't implemented for 4.1. It was there, you just couldn't see it. Honest.
It was real in my mind.
Yep, it was real on my schedule sheet, I know that. Current blocker plate layout just encourages too much hiding and turtling at the start of matches, makes fast ships that can just weave in and out of them more advantageous to have. Conversely, tanks are pretty much useless this time around, as sitting on a flag is not a viable strat, and there is no objectives to hold.
Sitting on the flag would have stopped me.
Agreed. You were
In 3 matches.
You were very much being like duct tape bailing wire, running around doing your flag captures, and I was amazed you got away with it.
I was flying by the seat of my pants, and if any tank bothered to capture our flag or protect theirs, I would have fucking died trying to do what I did.
Your cockpit was literally out in open space with just your thruster right behind it. I was literally following you, and I'm like, "Hey, Darth, I can see your face."
I think some of the reservations people have about capture the flag and fast movers and acceleration might be true, but we have to play more actually competitive tournament matches of people playing the objective to know.
Agreed.
Baby noise.
Yes, baby noise. 20-minute time limit, already there. Lowering the resist of flag gives users... We talked about that a little bit, we'll consider. Watching J-Nick hold W into people with the flag and just eating damage and the shieldless fast mover and surviving was pretty funny, but damn, that is a cringe strat. I think you're over-exaggerating a tiny bit, but I know what you're getting at. Please add a game timer into the match UI. Yes, we're going to turn that back on. Thank you. Also, some kind of storing incentive for killing enemy grids would be nice. No, since that's really what we're all here for at the end of the day anyway. My idea would be to go back to some kind of point system where grid codes are worth a fraction, a half or third of a flag or capture. We're doing something else. We're not doing the ticket system from last season. Get over it.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to have tickets integrated somehow, but it's not in that fashion.
No, we did the flag. We're doing the flag this time.
I mean, the feedback of I don't like capture the flag and I would rather have incentive to kill ships like tickets is valid feedback.
Yeah.
But I don't know about adding tickets to capture the flag. It's just a different game mode.
Yeah.
But I don't like capture the flag and I would rather be killing each other for tickets is valid. That's an opinion someone could have. That would be entirely reasonable. Yeah.
That'd work if we could respawn. God.
Yeah, we still haven't fixed the respawn. Anyway. Quote, you can't build a great ship on a weak foundation. End quote. Some rich fuck.
Says building. That says
Great.
building. Not ship.
You know what I meant. Unfortunately, applies here too. Fundamentals, no shipment of lipsticks, ETF. You know what? Whatever. Too early to tell. Teams are still adjusting. We will get some good data in the next 2 test turns, probably as teams focus on playing the objective. Agreed. 30-minute fight wouldn't feel as long if the fight started within a minute or 2 of the stream host joining the server. Yeah, no, that's what the setup time is for. Initial stages are slow anyway. If someone crashes out, it just seems there's enough time beginning 5 minutes for both team camping for them to rejoin and move before having any risk of damage. Small station show can be activated, placed by staff if someone does crash out. What? No, we're not gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna have to track down those crashes. That's what the rest of it says. It sucks. I hate the Antichrist.
Yep, we'll just skip that paragraph.
They do mention. Yeah, they mention a lot about times to load and crashing and the like, and some of it is concerning.
Agreed.
We'll take some time to actually find it, though.
We're gonna fix it. Slight decrease in recapture hitbox, reduced damage reduction while holding flag as nerf to tank ships capping. Fast ships lose their mobility. What do tanky ships lose exactly? If I saw a tank that was...
I've yet to see a tank capture the flag, except for the one time when Dylan did it, or Happy Farmer, one of the monopole tanks took it from us, but we were all dead at that point, so it didn't matter.
Fair.
Yeah, Happy Farmer.
We had all died to
slowly
Erebos
as well.
spam. It wasn't necessarily a tank capped the flag, but I do think that it's possible the resist on a tank with an SI field, well, I guess it would cancel out the SI field, right? It's
Probably.
It
exclusive.
overrides it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Either way, I think a tank with a 50% flag resist might be tough to deal with. But also, you can make them drop it with just enough firepower, even if it's not killing them.
Correct.
So,
We did
I don't
see
know.
that happen.
We have to see.
Yep. Almost there. Also, could we increase the acceleration of thrusters just a tad and increase the integrity of ions so you know hydro equals fast, ion equals tanky, so that there's more of a choice between the two? I have opinions about what was done to the thrusters, and you've already heard my opinions, Invalid.
Yep.
Yep.
Make gyros cost more.
I don't want gyros to cost more. I want
Make
the
it
goddamn
consistent.
thrusters to cost less.
Think about it. It'll be funny.
I
Tips will
don't-
get pissed.
Tibbs is
I'll
annoying.
get to that after we. I'll probably do it now, actually.
Yeah, we're like at the end, dude. The only other question is,
All right,
hey, thanks
so-
for coming.
Let's see, thrusters. The idea was more expensive. Less thruster spam means less thruster particles sinking to clients. That is good. It works. But now you can get them shot out and just kind of drift off. So there's a few ways to fix that. I want to reduce thruster count, specifically small thrusters. So I could probably just reduce the points of large or... What's this?
I
Sorry,
mean,
just got train of thought annihilated by Nate. God damn it.
damn it, Nate. Look,
No, we can't get rid of smalls.
no, I don't want to get rid of small.
What I'll probably do is either keep the current and like make the multipliers for ions like 4 times thrust and 2 times power draw, or just reduce the points and go back to what we did in season 3 because our network load issues were 99% the flag mod, and that seems to be tolerable now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing, hydrogen go fast, ion be the tanky if we're going to keep the point cost higher, because I think we should do something to the thrusters to make them better, considering how much more money we are charging for them. Either you make them better because you're charging more for them, or you just drop the cost back to what they were before, because I think the cost we had in Season 3 was effective for what they did. So I think we should try the make the thrusters more better first with the cost they have.
What exactly was wrong with Season 3 thruster balance that we decided to raise the points this season?
They just wanted less thrusters.
Less
We already
thrusters, less spam.
We already had
less
gotten rid
network.
of. We had already pretty much gotten rid of small thruster spam like midway through Season 2.
I know.
And it was gone for most of Season 3. There's not much more that could have been done. I don't think raising points was a good idea, personally.
I mean, I liked raising points because I felt like it made you actually think about the grid, but if that wasn't the reason.
Just
No,
not
I-
raising points to this.
The
To this
idea was a
level.
discussion with Muzzled in like, I don't know, right after GT3, of the Elite Dangerous power triangle of like thrust and power and weapons,
Yeah.
and how we can't really do that through scripts. So if that could be done through ship design, where, let's see, so the time to kill in Season 3 was pretty crazy in certain setups, which meant if thrusters cost more, then people who bring the power weapons would have to think about, well, I'd be a little less mobile. And there's kind of like you saw it happen. Like Darth exactly mapped it out of what exactly happens afterwards. And with the downside being, it feels like shit to fly around and get shot and just drift.
Yep.
But the obvious
And-
trade-off is if people are going to take less weapons, or less weapons of the same thrust, or same weapons and less thrust, they're going to take same weapons and less thrust.
Make afterburners cost more.
Yeah, that's also another problem, is the base idea doesn't work too well when stuff like afterburners exist and you can just fly on them um, rather than bring thrusters at all. Still need thrusters for some obvious reasons. You can run way less thrust in a conjunction with afterburners than you otherwise would.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that and adjust accordingly. However, it's not actually the main thing I wanted to talk about, which is, let's see. Pull up my autistic document. Hold on. It's not very long, don't worry.
Okay.
Alright, so for 4.2, I'm gonna try something new. I am going to split the weapons into categories and mods or companies or something. When you build your ship, you will pick one or two categories and then just go from there. So, for example, you can't take Serpent Arms, which has the Hydra, a power weapon, and an Ares, or a Hunter, or whatever. You'd have to pick between them, or you could pick both, but then you'd miss out on PD or something. This is a
Is that
system
per
I'm
ship or
thinking in
per
the back
team?
of my head.
Does the whole team have to stick with one or 2 packs
Well,
of
this is more
weapons?
like an idea of... has anyone here played Wipeout? I'm going to give the big rundown on why I think their aesthetics are really cool, and having company-based teams are interesting. No one's played Wipeout. Okay, Mech Warrior then.
Back warrior.
Yeah, that is the main...
The idea between clan or
Clan-
inner sphere
yeah,
having access
clan
to
and inner sphere.
functionally different loadouts of weapons.
This has been something I've been thinking about for a while, ever since Season 4, before Season 4 started. And the main issue is the limiting creativity idea that we got from that cores test. That kind of sucked in a few ways. But I think it could be counterbalanced with video games and good UI explaining properly what is what and what we exactly are going to do for 4.2. It's not going to be enforced mechanically, it's going to be like a theme.
Right. Good to test it at least once, though. I can't imagine limiting creativity and stuff in general is not going to be overly popular.
I think the idea is a team would pick a line of weapons on our system, Spartan. Or we just look and say, hey bruh, you're not using the weapon from the line. So the idea would be
I guess
either
the same way we enforce 3,000, 35,000 points on a team by looking.
Yeah, so either team or grid-based, I'm not 100% sure, where you would pick two lines of weapons, which would be generally based around mod, but I think a few things would have to be moved around. It'll all be explained in like the G menu categories and whatnot. And on a sheet. Because... Well, I got this from Lethal Dose when he was first joining, where I was showing him all the stuff we have, and he opened up the G menu and was like, oh wow, that's a lot of stuff. And he just kind of paralyzed at the options. Like, what if stuff was compartmentalized and you could stave off the constant cycle of whack-a-moling the best combos?
There.
I really think that giving people a limitation and... Oh yeah, this will go along some commissioning of decals I'm going to do. For like each weapon pack's, I don't know, logo.
Decals.
Yeah, so like clan, inner
Something-
sphere.
Something that this also
Decoratives.
would let us do is completely because, like you said, this counteracts weapon bloat and insane reach of choice. We
Yes.
could include literally just more weapons.
This would allow us, like, I can do so much stuff if this works out. Or maybe don't like it and we just continue on.
That is
Like,
true.
when we add Tate's weapons, there's a team set bonus where if your boat looks like a ship, you get plus 500 points. You know, stuff like that. Fun video games instead of the constant
That
cycle
is
of silly whack-a-mole on the best stuff.
that is a good point. Is being able locking teams or ships into specific mod packs means we can have more per mod pack, as everything's not. As whack-a-mole. That's a good point.
Spartan
you
does
guys-
mention if you're going to get a lot of samey builds with power combos will be found quickly. Less options mean more standard wombo combos, but honestly, that's already the case. How many Ares foragers did we see last tourney, and how many Erebos? Like, once a good thing is found, the people who are like, I want to win, will take it, and ideally we solve that with actually balancing stuff, is how.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would, yeah. Spartan, it being compounded is good because we find it and fix it faster.
Again, this is a thing I'm going to loosely try for 4.2. I'll
Yeah.
have a big announcement post in like a few days on it. If you don't like it, you know, it's going to be like the PD Evil Shells test. We'll just move on.
I think the one big mechanical thing that we have to get done for this to work is block categories.
Yeah, that's all
We
I need
have
to do.
to make sure every
essentially.
mod has its own block category, and someone can easily look in the G menu and click the tabs that they know they have access to, and
Yeah.
not click the tabs that they know they don't for their build.
Almost every mod does have its own block categories, but they're all currently being nuked by the tournament category.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
So-
Okay.
NHI's isn't up to date, but I know TIOs, SAs, one shots, those are all.
I'm going to ask the masses. If you were in a MechWarrior style, I don't know, tournament, and you had to bring a line of mechs from a manufacturer or Intersphere, you know, whatever, and that were applied to StarCore, like you had to build, would you prefer building your team around a line of weapons or your individual grids around the line of weapons? Like, would your team be clan, or would you bring a mix of clan and IS for your competitive whatever?
Yeah, I mean, imagine we were actually loading in a Mech Warrior, and we had to be like, oh, well, you can't actually take that. Our Lance is Inner Sphere. Sorry. Pick a different one. I mean, currently there's already that discussion about tonnage in a Lance of Mech Warrior, and similarly, how many points and mass are distributed through your team. So your team could decide on a manufacturer of weapons, but
Yeah.
Vicious
Yeah, in
Vader,
that case-
the first thing I've seen so far like this, I want whatever gives me more options and freedom, which is, I know, going to be the primary complaint. And if you do have that, please speak up about it. Like, if this idea sounds like we're just limiting your options to limit your options,
Okay.
let it be
The
known.
idea is to provide
that way.
interesting things to build around instead of
Or constraints rather than. Constraints are good. They force you
More
to be
constraints, but more options, right?
yeah.
Like,
I'm
If-
leaning toward more like you build a grid themed around a weapon pack that of your choice, or maybe two weapon packs like combined MA and NHI, I guess.
Yep.
and you'd still be to the same limit of an 8750. It's just you would bring
And there are certain
only the
blocks
weapons
that
from those two packs.
there are certain blocks and packs that should be available to everyone. Like, you shouldn't have to take a soul pack just because it has flares in it. For example, flares would be global.
Yeah.
Well, players being locked to a specific faction is interesting.
It's not.
Yeah. In theory, I didn't say in
Mm.
practice.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, that is my idea, and what I'm going to do softly for 4.2, and I'll have an announcement post. If you don't like it, well, for 4.3, then we'll go back to normal. But
We'll
it's
see,
something I
bro.
wanted to try for a while.
Let's test this idea in a test tournament, and we will listen to feedback about it being terrible, no good, very bad, and the next balance council if this doesn't work out the way people hope, who actually are hopeful for it.
Yeah. 2-week delay or 3-week delay for the next tournament?
Yeah.
When's the last one? Saturday. We should do it on the 23rd, I think.
Be a 3-week delay.
Oh,
2 weeks in
you're
between,
gonna
like 3
kill
weeks total.
me.
What?
Wrong, Tibbs.
I thought we told everybody it was 2 weeks after the one-time 3-week gap.
I don't.
We're just gonna
Maybe
make
that
it.
was
There were
already-
too many issues for me
Months,
to
maybe.
comfortably schedule it 2 weeks from now.
We need the 3 weeks to find all the performance issues and stuff, and crashes especially.
All right, everybody heard it from them. It's not my fault this time. I don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry, growing pains.
3 weeks, people. I'll post the schedule tomorrow. Okay, I would like to read the last box of comments so we can go ahead and, pack it in.
You will get 6 hours of sleep. Actually, 3.
Yeah, I might get 4 if I'm lucky. Anyway. Combat 2 server performance was not on it. Yeah, you know what? I don't know, man. I already read that once. You got your clip. You're not getting it again. Most weapons are currently left in the basement. Blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that. Combat 2 is cursed. Yep, Combat 2 is cursed. Your Honor, Erebos are balling a little hard tonight. That was just the painter talking. I'd like to talk about these in DM if you're all willing to make more sense or to argue. Well, I don't know who that was, so I'm not gonna...
What does that mean?
I don't know. They didn't leave their name. At least not here. It would be neat to try
Does
5-player teams again. Lord, kill me now.
Love to, but God, the risks of... Like, I'm narrowing it down. It's the global session scripts running constantly, and one trips over its stick and falls on its face.
Wrangling.
We could try. We could try it, like, at least in a test tournament in the future, just once to see how it plays out, but
Maybe not 4.2.
not 4.2. Maybe like 4.4 or 3.
We'll put it on a this would be neat to try again list for the future. We're already trying something dramatic for 4.2 here.
Yeah, so probably further in the future. It's less of a disruptive thing to test because mostly all that changes is point divisions and mass division, so not a lot has to be done.
But I think it would be interesting with Capture the Flag, actually.
Indeed.
Hey! I know you can hear me. Knock it off.
What's happening?
One of my friends is watching, and now he's starting to send me messages. Make slams correct again. No, you're not getting slams. Quit asking. Honestly, all I have to ask the thrusters have the points to... We already talked about thrusters. Resorting to afterburners. 5-person teams. We just talked about that. Purple could rejoin. Oh, that was supposed to be you, Odd. Thanks, team. It was a good time. The Euro film. I don't know.
Thank you, Persons.
Thank you, Persons. Weirdo. Stop it. Performance on Combat 2. Yeah, I know. Combat 2 is just being dumb. I enjoy the Salt. No, we're not doing the Salt one. Build and repair Phantom Welds. That's a network thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I posted about that in Long's Complaints. I will look into it. Janik, are you still here? I might need your
Yeah.
assistance on that.
You've been deputized.
I don't know. Networking is scary.
It's very scary. And it did vaguely exist. Thrusters, da-da-da. Okay, so we've already looked at that. Okay. I find it hard to believe the Combat 2 is cursed from Yeah, you know what? It's cursed. Okay. Overall, good test tournament. Got everyone buzzing with chatter and excitement. Nice job. Agreed. Can people tone down the salt, please, Lord? Yeah. That would be...
This is not the saltiest we've been.
I was going to say.
This is an
No, this is pretty
improvement.
tame.
This is far
Yeah.
from the saltiest people have been.
This
Pretty.
is
Honestly,
very
I had a
tame.
lot of fun, and I've heard from a lot of other people who had a lot of fun
Yeah.
this last test tournament. So
Yeah, we did all right.
The last
Just missed the
video
error
assault we
boost.
had was a while ago, and there is no desire to repeat that.
Yep. The salt pit has been gone for a while. I see no reason to bring it back.
Yep.
Good job to the guys for the first test tournament. Didn't notice any performance issues on my end. Sweet. Barring the field on crash. Thank you, Chet, for not fully testing. What?
What did I do?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's when I pushed that change without the null check mid-tournament.
Oh, that's right.
Like I said, you can be salty in my inbox. I don't care. It's sorry, entirely my fault.
4.2 might be a fun one, but I doubt Fletcher will get thrown in. 4.3, 4.4. Oh, yeah, that's Tate. We'll talk about it later.
We give it proper points if people really like the company divisions. Fletcher could be another line of guns. I know I'm looking forward to if people like, including myself, I'll be honest, because I'm not sure how I'll feel after we do it. But if it is fun to do like the divisions of mods, I would love for the 40k weapons to become a fully fleshed out mod pack. I have a bunch in the works already, so.
Hey, how many weapons does your pack currently have in it? Or do you not know the answer to that question?
Okay. Save.
We can probably stop the stream now,
Yep.
and Tibbs can go die.
Probably.
Tibbs would like to go.
Go sleep.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. I'd like to thank everyone for your participation tonight. And just like to say on behalf of myself and everyone else, whether you like it or not, it was a good time. And I think that it's nice that we've actually started Season 4. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. And then y'all can go do whatever. Okay.
Kate really said 8, but probably 15, but maybe 20.
I'd say pick like 7 that you really want included off the bat.